Odyssey Sports Station.
Man, check this out.
You're on official Rob Brown lockdown.
Represent Jim Brand. Yeah.
Manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Lockdown.
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Get Rob. Only
The fan of states.
Good morning.
I can officially say now that I'm over the no power thing officially, and this isn't a Karening, all right. This isn't getting upset because I know there's a lot of good men and women out there that are absolutely busting their humps to try to get us power, to try to get power restored across the upstate. I know there's a lot of good men and women. I passed some of them yesterday that are out there right now, trying to get it all together, trying to get us all set up to go back to as normal as we'll ever be after Helene. And it's appreciated, all right? It's appreciated more than we can tell you. But I can officially say I'm done with the no power thing. Last night, plugged in the phone into the generator to go to bed. Because what I've been doing is running the generator at night, outside, obviously, but run the generator at night. We got a power cord that runs in through the window that plugs into a power strip. And then the wife and I are taking that power strip, plugging our cell phone chargers into it, charging our phones up overnight. So last night I turned on the generator and ran the cord through the window, plugged in the cell phone, went to bed, and then because I'm an old man now, there comes a point in the night, Zoe, where I got to I have to say I got to pee. I got to wake up and I got to pee.
You don't need your phone to walk through your house.
No, I don't.
Okay,
the problem is, well, no, I do in the middle of the damn night because there ain't no lights.
So you have to, I mean, I don't even open my eyes when I go to the restroom.
Oh, good for you, predator of peeing.
Well, no, it's just because the bathroom's fairly close to my bedroom, so I don't really have that far to walk. And plus, I've done it so many times, I don't need my eyes open.
Good for you for having the sixth sense.
I think there's a good portion of people who do that, by the way.
I mean, all right, even if I'm the only one, I don't care. The answer is no. I am not traipsing with my frequently stubbed toesies through the bedroom, into the hallway, down the hallway, and into the bathroom. It's freaking dark. And on top of that, I think as men in committed relationships, I think there is one thing that all of us have heard from our ladies over the years. At least for me, this is the case. There is one thing we have all heard from our ladies over the years, and that is, don't pee on the seat. Well, I'm going to go ahead and tell you that while my aim is true and my skills legendary in that department and others, I got to see where I'm aiming, man. I ain't shooting blind into the dark.
You just put
only
your
to be
legs
woken
on
up.
either side of the bowl. As long as they touch, then you know where you're aiming at. And the other thing is, you know, if you make a compromise rule that the seat is always up, unless the wife goes in and goes to the restroom. When she's done, she puts the seat up. I don't know why it seems to be that the woman, the wife, gets to control whether the seat is up or down. If the seat is always up, then you don't have to worry about it. And if she goes in and she doesn't put the seat back up and you pee on the seat, that's her fault.
I actually agree with that sentiment. The lady and I have had the conversation before that it takes the same amount of effort to put it up as it does to put it down.
And the guys go to the bathroom more than women do. They just do. It's I'm sure it's scientifically proven. I could find science somewhere that would be on my side. That's how science sometimes works.
No, that's a real bad approach to science. You're going in with a preconceived notion that you believe the data will support your hypothesis with absolutely no knowledge of whether it really won't.
I'm right. I'm right.
You're in
because-
your house, you may be right.
Yeah, well, no, the science will be on my side, I'm sure.
Again,
Because I'm confident in what I'm saying.
That's not how science
works.
works.
Well, that's not how your science works.
No.
So
that's not how science
I'm talking about
works.
practical science. I'm not talking about the imaginary science where this is how something should work. This is how it does work.
No. Okay.
Men
Right.
go to the bathroom more than women.
You go to the bathroom more than Miss Lisa. That is not the same as men go more than. Well, this is not the point.
All right, so my world is around my house, and I'm guessing in your house, you go to the restroom more than your wife does.
That's different than
And
what you said.
If you
What
go
you
to the
said
restroom more
was-
than your wife does, then 100% of the people in this room, the guys go to the restroom more than the women do.
What you said was not in my house. What you said was men more than women, and that is
Yes.
a different
This would
line.
be me and you. That would be men, not a man. Men.
Okay, listen, we're not. This is irrelevant. The point here is
Take control, Rob.
the point here is
It's not that hard. You take control, dude.
the
Do
point here is
Put your foot down.
the point here is yes, I have to turn on my flashlight to get to the bathroom. Now I'm not using my phone flashlight right now. I have a little pen flashlight. All right, it's not. We got three
You sleep
flashlights.
with it around your neck so you can.
No,
find
it sits on the dresser at the corner of the dresser because
You
I can
fumble.
get up out of the bed, walk to the end of the dresser, and it's right there. I find the dresser, and the pen flashlight's on the corner. So I get up, I grab the pen flashlight, I go down the hallway, I do my business, I come back to bed. Well, what I discovered at 5:25 this morning when the wife rolls over and hits me and goes, "Oh, you're in trouble." And I went thinking it's 3:50 in the morning that I slept in. I went, "Oh, good morning. Why am I in trouble?" And she went, "Oh, because it's 5:25. And I went, "Oh, yeah, that is bad. That is bad. You're right." And I got up and got going. Well, I discovered that in the night last night, in my endeavor to get up and go to the bathroom, I kicked on my way back to the bed, apparently. I kicked my cord out of the phone charger, which means my phone did not charge overnight, which in other nights, not a big problem. Last night it was because I didn't have the phone charging, and I watched 4 baseball games on my phone yesterday. I watched 4 baseball games on my phone yesterday when I laid down.
Why don't you watch on your tablet and then save your phone? And the tablet's a bigger screen. I'm charging my iPad every day, and I'm watching stuff on my iPad and keeping my phone limited.
Because I just run everything off the phone. I've got the phone. I've got all the social media right there, and I'm using my tablet.
This is the first time I've ever had to use my phone as an alarm because I use a regular alarm clock, but I can't do it now. So I don't do anything with my phone. I do everything on my iPad.
I use my tablet, which is not an iPad because you Apple people are a cult. I use my tablet for everything else. I'm using it for Twitter and Instagram. I'm using it for scrolling websites. I'm using it for show prep effectively. And so
it does have a bigger screen though. I'm just
which
saying.
is why I use it for everything else.
No, that's why you use it for video.
No, I don't. I just said it. I use it for all the other things that I have to do.
So weird.
So I put the phone down. And by the way, I got my new little case with the built-in kickstand on it, which is very nice. So I got the phone going with the 4
What
baseball
good does that
games.
do when the phone's dead?
It wasn't dead when I was watching baseball, was it, Lonzo? So I'm watching the games, which is fine because I'm like, as long as I can take the phone, as long as it's got battery when it's time to go to sleep, I'll plug it in. We'll run the generator. We'll be good. Well, I got up to pee. I kicked my phone cord out. It killed the phone overnight with the very little battery that I had left when I was done. I don't even know why I watched the Braves-Padres game. I told you exactly what was going to happen. Michael King is a stud. The Braves are a very average team right now from the dish. And the pitching is burnt. It's cooked. It's toast. It's tacked. They don't have enough gas in the tank. This is a 2-game sweep at the hands of the Padres. Unless somebody does something stupid, unless like Ozuna has a 3-home-run game tonight, this is a 2-game sweep at the hands of the Padres. I should have cut it off. I should have went to bed. Instead, the lady friend and I watched the vice presidential debate on her laptop while I watched the Atlanta-San Diego game on my phone. Those two events concluded. I spent a few more minutes show prepping, finding some stuff to talk about today to run over on the side. And then I went to bed. And I learned when I got up this morning, that I had kicked the charger out of the wall, which meant that I was very late. And it simply comes down to, I appreciate all of the men and women out there across the upstate, really across the entire Southeast, from the Florida Panhandle up through Georgia, into South Carolina, up into North Carolina. I appreciate the hardworking men and women from all over the country, by the way, that are here with their trucks and their rigs, trying to get us all set up and back running. I just got to say, I'm over the no power thing by like a lot.
I chair popped this morning in my car, by the way. So it's kind of like legitimate chair pop. Because a car seat is kind of a chair, isn't it? But anyway, like 2 miles away from my house, power's back on.
Hey.
So, I mean, it may still take 5 days to get it to my house, but at least technically on the street that I live off of, there's power. So it's the first power that I've seen in that area in a while. Little pockets here and there. You never know.
You're on your way, man. You're on the way. Must feel nice.
You know, it doesn't feel nice still. Cold shower.
That's fair. That's fair. So we got a lot we got to get to, a lot that we got to talk about today, and we will talk and get to all of it. We've got the 4 Major League Baseball playoff games in the wild card rounds last night. Underdogs on the road go 3-1. The only on-the-road team that lost last night was, again, the Atlanta Braves. 4-0 loss at the San Diego Fathers yesterday. Fernando Tatis Jr. went with one of the most devastating home runs that I have ever seen. Fernando Tatis put a shot on the baseball yesterday that was just out of the, I mean, it was incredible. And it was just very clearly all Padres after that. So we'll talk about that, as well as the other 3 games where all 3 teams on the road took home victories last night, except, again, the Braves. We got to talk a little college football. DJ Uiagalelei out this Saturday when Florida State hosts Clemson. Does it matter? Clemson's a 14.5 point favorite.
That's all?
That's what I said. I have right now, today, I have one bet down for Saturday. Clemson minus 14.5 against Florida State. The over/under in that game, if I recall correctly. In fact, I'm gonna go look it back up right now, because the over/under in that game, if I recall, was 42.5. I think it was 42.5. I'm gonna pull it up. I can't remember if it was 42.5 or 47. No, it's 47.5. I'll tell you right now, Clemson might hit that over by themselves. Clemson might not, but Clemson might hit that over by themselves at 47.5, but they are 14.5 point favorites in this game, and I'm very much thinking that's a style points layup there for the Clemson Tigers. This team's bad. This team down in Tallahassee is maybe, it is the most embarrassing football team anywhere of 2024. Highest expectations, lowest results. It's the most disappointing. It's the most embarrassing team of 2024, without a doubt. I don't think I've ever seen a coach go from the highest of high to the lowest of low in just 5 games like Mike Norvell. I mean, it's unbelievable. So DJ Uiagalelei allegedly has a broken finger. And I'm absolutely going to say allegedly. Because I do wonder, if you're 1-4 and you weren't willing to make the switch away from DJ U, who has been so far this season for the Noles. If you're unwilling to switch away from DJ Uiagalelei in those first 4 games before you got to last week, and you weren't willing to switch away from him last week when he looked atrocious, Are you switching away from him now because he's genuinely injured? Or are you switching away from him now because you know that if you play him against Clemson, he might actually get murdered? Because that's the way I'm leaning right now. It's embarrassing. So this is a massive, massive weekend for Clemson. This is an opportunity for you to make a statement. This is an opportunity for you to do something very special. This is an opportunity for you. And let's preface this by making the point that your opponent this weekend is very bad. There is two possible outcomes here. Well, there's three. Outcome number one is you find a way to lose to Florida State. I am going to get away. I'm going to go ahead and say this. If you lose to this team, it will be the most embarrassing loss since Dabo Swinney took over.
Is Florida State the best team they played since Georgia?
I mean, I have to say no because they're booty, right?
Yeah, but still, I mean,
I have to say no. I think I've got to say the answer is NC State. I'd take NC State minus 10.5 over Florida State right now.
Okay.
I'd say Dave Doran's NC State. I'll put it this way, and I mean this. I think Florida State's winning one more game this year. I think they beat Charleston Southern. I don't think they beat it. It's not a joke. I think Duke can beat them right now. No joke. I think Miami's going to beat them by 100. I think North Carolina can beat them right now. I know Notre Dame's going to beat them in South Bend, Indiana. They might beat Charleston Southern. And then Florida. Florida's going to have a new coach by then, remember. This isn't about what Florida's doing right now. It's what Florida will be on Thanksgiving weekend. Florida's going to have a new coach. Florida's going to have some momentum. They're going to have some energy, some juice, some electric down there in Gainesville, Florida. Florida's going to beat them by 21. I think Florida State's winning one more game this year, legitimately. So the answer is no. Are they the most prestigious team left to play Clemson? Sure. But no. I think Clemson still got Louisville. And Louisville lost the game this weekend, but Louisville lost a tough game against Notre Dame. Good Notre Dame team. Yeah, they lost to Northern Illinois. That's an ugly loss. I promise you that's going to go down as the biggest apparition of the year, as the biggest shocker of the year. But outside of that, they got Louisville. That's better. South Carolina's certainly better than Florida State right now. Virginia Tech's better than Florida State right now. Pitt might be better than Florida State right now. So outcome number one is you lose to Florida State. It's the most embarrassing loss of the year outside of Notre Dame, Illinois. Option number two, you squeak by Florida State, in which case all the questions come rushing back. Or option number three is you take advantage of the situation that presents itself to you, and that situation is the opportunity to come into this game, earn some style points by going to Tallahassee, beating them by 1,000, and getting your continuing to revamp your image. We'll talk a lot more about these games as we roll on. Rob Lonzo and you, the Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. Okay. Nothing about my life is together. Good morning, stream.
Let's find our way to looking forward, not backwards, forward. You're here.
I am here.
We're doing the thing.
Do the thing.
Currently at 65 degrees.
So I wonder if the thing outside the window right there is how some other stations are on the air.
Oh,
Because the antenna's up and it's running.
I bet it is. I bet that's exactly what it is. But it doesn't look like there's any power.
It's hooked. It's got wires hooked.
Oh, but they put the antenna up.
Yeah, the antenna's up and there are big old wires coming out the side.
Yeah, that's probably what it is.
Hi, everybody. I'm looking forward to the time when I can go home and do that. You know, that kind of sleep where you sleep so hard that you wake up and like part of your face is just creased for an hour because you like slept on your hand or something and just that part won't, but you slept so deep that it doesn't matter and your hair is all weird because you slept so deep. I need that kind of sleep. I maybe in the next day or so, who knows? I can get that kind of sleep. I just go home and actually sleep.
Including trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. ED is personal, and at Hims, so is treating it. Just go to hims.com/joy and get connected to a licensed medical provider online for.
Although I am going to see the Joker Thursday night. It wouldn't shock me if I don't fall asleep in nice, comfortable chairs with hopefully air conditioning. And if it has the pacing the first movie did, that 1970s pacing where you go, okay, get there. Oh, there it is.
I think part of the reason I liked it is because it had unusual pacing, which it should, because it should kind of take you into the mindset of a mentally disturbed person to try to put you in that place.
My crazy's just faster. That's all, I guess. Wow.
That was quick.
Yeah, well.
The Rob Brown Show on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rob, the great one, Lonzo, with you. Be a part of the program. 844-326-3663 is the number. Text us on the text line. The renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas text line at 71307, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N. Or go to the Odyssey app, go to the Fan Upstate page, click the microphone button, and leave us a voice note. That's the newest feature on the Odyssey app.
One of them, the voice.
The voice note.
The voice note.
So go to the Odyssey app, go to the Fan Upstate page. Right in the middle of the page, there's a microphone button. If you tap that button, you can leave a 60-second voice note. That 60-second voice note comes directly to me here on the laptop in the studio. So go to the Odyssey app, go to the Fan Upstate page. I can do this, I promise. Click on that microphone button. Leave me a 60-second voice note, and we will address it on the air. I want to jump into something right quick like this morning. South Carolina plays Ole Miss this weekend. This game to me is massive. This game to me is very important, and it's very important for a couple of reasons. The Ole Miss Running Rebels got beat by Kentucky this weekend. That's a Kentucky team that South Carolina beat earlier in the year, 31-6. I mean, absolute beatdown. And there's something to be said about that win for the Gamecocks. Now, transitive property of football, as we have said many times on this show, the transitive property of football is very dangerous. X beat Y, Y beat Z, therefore Z beats X. Not true. That's why we play the game, right? If we didn't play the game that way, the football season would be 4 weeks long. Because by 4 weeks into the season, just about everybody has got a two-team connection to just about everybody else. You played somebody who played somebody who played them. And you can kind of draw a map. This is why one of my favorite things that comes up at the end of the year is the circle of suck. The circle of suck, where you can draw a circle around any given conference and draw a map where everybody has beat somebody who beat somebody else, who beat somebody else, who beat somebody else, who beat somebody else, who beat somebody else around the entire conference. The transitive property of football is in play right now because South Carolina beat Kentucky. Kentucky beat Ole Miss. Therefore, South Carolina should beat Ole Miss. But you got this other thing going on. Teams that get upset are usually more dangerous the next week. Teams that get upset, especially when they get upset. Teams that get upset and are disappointed in how they were upset usually cover the spread the next week or are very close to it. Usually they come out firing the next week. But I told you coming into this year, as much as I like Lane Kiffin, let's be real clear about that. I like Lane Kiffin as a content machine. I like Lane Kiffin as a source of comedy and humor of the highest order. I like Joey Freshwater because he makes me laugh. All right? I think he's a fine football coach. I don't think he's anything to write home about. There's a rumor going around right now that Lane Kiffin may be the next coach at the University of Florida. Good luck with that. All right? Good luck with that. I like Lane Kiffin because he makes me laugh, not because I think he's like a top-notch premier level coach. I thought coming into the year Ole Miss was overrated. I think they're good, but I did a whole show with PJ Glasser before the season started on BetQL. And we did an entire hour on the narratives that will be incorrect by the end of football season. And one of the ones that I wrote up was I think Jackson Dart is overrated, and I think Ole Miss is going to finish the year as a 3 or 4 loss team, not a 0 or 1 loss team. I think they will finish hanging closer to the bottom of the top 25 than the top of the top 25. This is a winnable game for South Carolina. It's an uphill battle. You will be a dog. It's an uphill battle, but it's a winnable game. So why does that matter? Why have I said that there is more on the line for South Carolina than just a win? Jake Crane threw out there yesterday on social media a take that I've already had, but you know I love when my sentiments are echoed.
I've heard from a bunch of South Carolina fans that they feel disrespected. They see Kentucky getting all these accolades after playing a close game with Georgia and then beating Ole Miss last weekend after the Gamecocks clobbered them 31-6 a couple weeks ago. And I can get why you're a little upset, but if you want to get the respect that you feel like you deserve, you have to go win a big-time game. Hell, game day went to Columbia after you guys beat Kentucky, and say what you want about the officiating. It's been bad all through college football. South Carolina lost and missed a huge opportunity against LSU. But this weekend, with Lenora Sellers returning, Beamer and the boys can take a huge step towards getting that big-time respect back against an Ole Miss team that's going to be pissed off after losing at home to the Wildcats. The time for almost is over in South Carolina. And after this game, you enter a brutal stretch going to Alabama, then to Oklahoma, and then hosting Texas A&M. You need the momentum and the confidence to do something that not many people thought outside of Columbia could be done. So no more words about how unfair the Kentucky love is. Go out and earn your accolades. It's kill or be killed out here. And a close mouth don't get fed in these SEC streets.
So, while I think the delivery of the take is forced, respectfully.
Red.
Yeah. While I think the delivery of the message is a little forced, I'll just say forced. With all due respect. All due respect, huh? While I think the delivery is a little forced, I think the point is valid. While I think the delivery is a little forced, I still think Jake Crane is correct about this. And I say that because it's a take I've already expressed. Okay? We came into this year asking a question about the Gamecocks. What are the expectations? And the expectation that I got the majority of from y'all was bowl eligibility, right? Take a step forward. Bowl eligibility. And I pointed out a number of times, this schedule sucks, all right? It's not an easy one. And you are hitting meat and potatoes time right now. Number 12, Ole Miss. Number 1, Alabama. Number 19, Oklahoma. Number 25, Texas A&M. You will play more top 25 teams in the next 4 weeks than most teams will play all season. 4 of them in consecutive weeks. And oh, by the way, when you're done with that, you got a Vanderbilt team that's feeling itself a little bit. Then you got a top 10 team in Missouri. Then you got Wofford. Then you got a top 15 team in Clemson. South Carolina has, in the entire rest of the season, 2 games remaining that are not against a ranked team. You have 3 wins so far. I am going to say that while moral victories don't count in the record books, I'm going to say I'm satisfied with the performance against LSU. Was it a loss? Yes. Is that a bummer? Yes. I am satisfied with the performance. That's not a bad LSU team. Last night I was on BetMGM tonight. Brad Evans asked me, of the long shot teams with odds of 3-1 or longer to find their way into the college football playoffs, which team is your favorite bet? And my answer was LSU. LSU. LSU's got a game left. They got Alabama. They got a game left against Texas A&M. Outside of that, LSU's going to be favored in every contest. Frankly, I think they'll be favored over Texas A&M. They're going to be dogs in one contest left. That one contest is going to be against Alabama. I think you guys lost by 3 at home with what I think at this point, even the LSU-eriest of homers would say the officiating was bad. And yes, I agree with Jake. It is a problem across all of college football. I have expressed that. Josh Pate has expressed that. Who was the cat? Basically, everybody on CBS HQ has expressed that. The officiating's bad. And that game brought out that conversation. When you got a guy like Josh Pate who makes his money by the way, similar to the way I do, when you get a guy like Josh Pate who makes his money by kind of being a voice for everybody, right? That guy can go into any stadium in the Southeastern Conference, and there's folks that want to hang out with him, want to take pictures, with him, want to talk to him, whatever. This guy is not a dude. He's like me. He's not a dude that makes his money by making enemies out of fans. He's a dude that makes his money by making friends out of fans, by being on everybody's boat. When Josh Pate comes out the next day and says what happened in this game was a travesty, then you can go ahead and take it to the bank that what happened in that game was a travesty. And it was. Somebody yesterday put up the clip of the pick 6 that got called back because of the horse collar tackle. I didn't notice this in real time. I'm actually disappointed in myself that I didn't notice it. But if you rewatch that replay, Lonzo, the flag for a horse collar tackle comes out as the ball is crossing the end zone for the touchdown. Okay? Now, does that feed the conspiracy theory? Absolutely it does.
It takes a little bit for them to phone down and say, throw it.
The INT is crossing the goal line to score a pick 6 for the Gamecocks when the flag for a horse collar tackle is thrown out by the head referee, who, by the way, is facing away from the touchdown, right? He's not watching the game. He's not watching the ball. He's looking backwards, and he throws the flag as the touchdown's being scored. He turns away from that, turns back, and throws the flag. Yeah, it's a little suspicious, okay? Now, here's what I'm going to say. It is what it is. You had a good game against a top 10 team, well, top 16 team. You had a good game against a team I think is going to be in the playoffs at the end of the year in the LSU Tigers. But if you want the narrative to flip on its head, if you want the respect that you guys have talked so much about especially with what's happened with clobbering Kentucky and then Kentucky taking Georgia to the wire and beating Ole Miss. If you want the accolades, the commendations, the respect that you feel like you deserve after all of those results combine, to me, this is the week you go get them. Okay? LSU was a different story. Did I want the win? Sure. But to me, LSU was something different. LSU was about putting on display exactly what Columbia, South Carolina is all about. It was about putting on display the vibes, bro. It was about putting on display the fact that you have, I said this, I know it's been said by a lot of national talking heads, the fact that Columbia, South Carolina is the most unappreciated home field advantage in all of college football. It is never listed amongst the best home field advantages, and it absolutely should be. That's what that one was about. This one's about proving that your football team's legit. That Shane Beamer is legit. That this team has taken a step forward. And if you go out there and win this game, that's exactly what will happen. And if you go out there and you get punched in the mouth and you roll over, you lay down for Ole Miss, we're going right back to square one, just like that. All right, we'll talk more about it later in the show. Rob Alonso, we need the Rob Brown Show, the Fan Upstate. I'm going to say, Wesley, letter of the law, you're not wrong. Letter of the law, you're not wrong. What I'm also going to say is it was the first horse collar call that I've seen made with this year's, because there's new horse collar rules in play this year, right? First one I'd seen, and it just seemed like a very suspect place for that to be the first time it gets called. I'm not saying it was wrong.
Is your home for Paladins football and basketball. Follow all the action live right here in the Fan Upstate. Download the Odyssey app, search the Fan Upstate, and listen anywhere on your phone.
Up to the minute upstate traffic. The Cordell and Cordell traffic cam shows there are no slowdowns or stalls through the upstate at this time. 85 is at posted speeds. 185 and 385 are clear through Greenville. 26 and 585 are wide open through Spartanburg. Whitehorse is problem-free, and Wade Hampton is smooth sailing. From the News Talk 98.9 WORD Traffic Center, I'm Bill Brooks on the Fan Upstate.
Order for Jennifer C. Is this my double shot, double cream, double broth, double pump, double hot, double whip, double sleep? Yeah. Can you handle that much caffeine? Did you know Discover automatically doubles all the caffeine you earn at the end of your first year? Like, now? Seriously, did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you earn at the end of your first year? Yeah, you just said that. Did you say I just said that? Yeah, I'm cutting you off. Did you say you're cutting me off?
You earn, we match. Unlimited cashback match. See terms at discover.com/credit.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like, you know to check that your seats are in the visitor section first, before buying tickets.
I'm so excited for this game. I can't believe we got us tickets.
Me too. Wait, are we on the wrong side?
Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds.
Yes, it's going to be a long game.
You're in good hands with Allstate. Savings vary, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Purchase new wiper blades from O'Reilly Auto Parts today, and we'll install them for free. See better and drive safer with O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
There's new Tropic Bowls in paradise at Tropical Smoothie Cafe. Enjoy our new Bahama Mama Bowl, inspired by our fan fave smoothie flavor, serving pineapple, strawberry, and coconut. Or dig into 32 grams of protein with our new peanut butter protein.
Just South Carolina.
It's tropic time.
From the Ingles Market Studio.
Golly, breaks are quick. The Rob Brown Show on your radio, the Fan Upstate, Rob Alonso and you. 844-326-3663, the phone number, the text line 71307. That is the renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone. You can tweet me at the Rob Brown Show, tweet Lonzo at Lonzo on Word, or again, go to the Odyssey app, go to the Fan Upstate page on the Odyssey app, and when you do, click on the microphone button, drop us a 60-second voice note, up to 60 seconds. You don't have to use the whole 60 seconds, but it's there for you if you want it. Drop us a 60-second voice note that we can listen to and respond, play them on the air, et cetera, et cetera. That's in the Odyssey app on the Fan Upstate page. Click on the microphone button and drop us a 60-second voice note. We would love to hear from you. We talked about South Carolina, Clemson. South Carolina, Ole Miss. Let's talk about Clemson, Florida State. We got it very briefly into it back in the first segment of the show. Let's bring it back up here. What's this game mean for Clemson? Last year, Florida State went 13-0. Florida State won the Atlantic Coast Conference. They did get left out of the college football playoffs, but they were conference champions last year. Last year, I also think, as most of you do because it happened, that the crescendo of criticism about the direction of the Clemson program hit its high mark. Last year was the year that I think, and we've said this on this show, I said a number of times on this show, if next year is like this year, it'll be time to have some tough conversations around the Clemson football program. Well, after the Appalachian State game, it would appear that a little certain something has been found by the Tiger offense specifically, but that defense has been what we wanted it to be. I mean, honestly, I think that sound for now has got to get put to bed because this team's good again. Like good. Not like, oh, it's a flash. They're good again.
It's a good thing that it's on my side and not on your side.
Yes, it is.
Because
it's never going to get retired.
No, ever. Unless the boss tells me to. Yeah.
This football team has an opportunity to go down to Tallahassee against a Florida State team that is broken. Broken. Dead in the water, broken. Mike Norvell has lost this program. Can he get it back for next year? I don't know, but it's gone for this year. He's lost it. This team does not care. It drove me nuts in Norvell's post-game press conference after they got smacked in the mouth by SMU, a spot late in the game. And we played the audio for you on, Monday's Audio Blitz? On Monday, we played you the audio where Florida State and SMU were waiting on a video replay that would ultimately confirm that SMU, Southern Methodist, had scored yet another touchdown and was now up 35-16 on Florida State. While they did it, the SMU band was in the background playing a one trumpet, one tuba, sad tomahawk chop, war chant. Wow, blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. It was hilarious.
Sound like a club mix what you just did. The other thing was a lot worse.
Oh, it was bad. It was mocking Florida State. And what did Florida State do? Did they grab each other by the collars and go, do you hear that? Do you hear what they are doing? Do you hear how they are mocking one of our primary tradition? No, they went and let SMU score another touchdown and got blown out of the water. This team has no pride in itself. This team is lost. This team stinks. Clemson has an opportunity to go down to Tallahassee and make a statement. And I want to be clear. You go beat this Florida State team by 50, I want you to know the rest of the country is going to look at that and go, yeah, that's what you were supposed to do. You should have beaten them by 50. You are not going to get, let me be very clear, you are not going to get any sort of accolades or praise or pats on the back from anyone nationally, fans, talking heads. Nobody is going to say, good job, Los Tigres. If you go down to Tallahassee and you beat this team by 42, they're going to say, yeah, that team sucks. That's what you should have done. This game to me is a game that Clemson must play for themselves. This game to me is a game that Clemson must play for their own statement to be made, for themselves to look at each other in the locker room, for the fans to look at each other in the stands and to say, that's who we are. That's who we are. This is a game.
They have to have a major victory, though. They can't just win by one, right?
Oh, and listen, I think they will. I got asked on BetMGM tonight. Ryan Horvath said, are we laying the points with Clemson? And I said, laying them, I'm taking an alt line. The line's 14.5. I'm walking it up to 16.5. I'm taking a couple more points out of the bank.
Who's playing quarterback for Florida State since DJ's not playing?
That would be one Brock Glenn, a freshman who has 4 passes under his belt as a player.
Did he complete them?
I don't know. He was against SMU, and I didn't watch it.
Oh, okay. All right.
I was well done with Florida State at that point. This is a game that you're not going to get any praise for a victory here. For a devastating victory, like for a go beat the brakes off of them. Don't get off the gas. Don't touch the brakes. Full throttle, all afterburner, all 60. If Clemson has the ball up 47 with 45 seconds to play and Florida State hath waved the white flag, go score again.
That's what old Dabo would have done.
Go
so
score again. All right? Go do it again. This is a game that when it is concluded, should Clemson do what I think Clemson is going to do and beat the absolute brakes off of Florida State, as they should. This is a game where you are going to get no praise or shine or accolades, nobody in the national media, nobody in the talking head world, nobody in sports talk radio anywhere is going to open their show on Monday by saying, did you see how good Clemson looked? Did you see how badly they beat Florida State? Did you see how well that offense was clicking? What they're going to say is, I'm putting it down now so you can be ready and prepared. What they're going to say is, of course you beat them by 35. They stink. Of course you beat them by 35. That program is a dumpster fire. You better beat them by 35. SMU beat them. What was it? What was the final? 42-16? You better win like that.
Why are you saying that about SMU? They've lost one game. SMU's like 3-1, I think.
SMU's fine. All right?
Okay.
They're fine.
I'm just saying, I mean,
They're fine. They're fine. There's nothing bad about them, but they're not special either. They're fine. They're a good enough little team. All right? I say that respectfully as somebody who had a lot of hope for SMU this year. They're fine.
I've never heard anyone be so condescending when saying the word special.
It's again, it's not condescending.
And we're in the South, and special in the South. I mean,
bless your heart.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not condescending. It's just they're not special. They're fine. Okay. And they beat the crap out of Florida State. So yeah, Clemson, you're going to be expected to do the same thing, and you're not going to get praise. You're not going to get accolades. There is one reason you do that. The reason you do that is to make sure that everybody knows that you're back where you expect to be on top of this conference. A conference that now comes down to Clemson and Miami. This is what you need to do. You need to remind Florida State that it is still whose house? Dabo's house. You need to remind Florida. Oh, and by the way, it does make the future easier. Florida State is hemorrhaging recruits right now. They lost a 4-star wide receiver that they were very excited about, who is now back in the mix for the South Carolina Gamecocks. We'll talk about that later in the show. But if you go out there and beat the brakes off of Florida State, you dump Florida State not just to 1-5 on the season, but if you do what you should do and hand them one of the largest Clemson margins of victory over Florida State ever, I'm talking historically, you're not going to get praise. You're not going to get pats on the back. Nobody in the national media is going to be on Monday talking about how proud they are and how impressed they are. And, oh, we need to be talking about Clemson with the Georgias and the Alabamas and the Ohio States just yet. That's not going to happen. What's going to happen is you will have a locker room full of dudes that are able to look themselves in the mirror and go, that's who the hell we are. That's who we are. That's us. You're going to have a bunch of fans that open this year going, we're shaky. I hope we found our identity, who can now look at each other and high five and go, that's our identity. That's who the hell we are. Clemson football's back, right where we should be. You're going to have a Florida State school that is going to be so disheartened that I genuinely think this school in Florida State is I think they're more set back now than they were at the conclusion of the Willie Taggart years. Honestly, that's how bad things are in Tallahassee right now. I think they are further behind the 8 ball today than they were when Willie Taggart was fired mid-season a few years ago, leading ultimately to the hiring of Mike Norvell. I think that's where they are now. And if you go out there and you beat them by 40, 42, 45, you'll keep them there. You'll push them even further back. You will make the path back for Florida State and therefore the path to threaten Clemson supremacy in this conference. You'll push them further back than that. This game matters a lot. You're not going to get flowers for it. You're not going to get accolades for it. Nobody's going to come on the show Monday outside of this area and go, goodness gracious, Los Tigres are back. What's going to happen is there's going to be a bunch of people who are going, yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. That's what's supposed to happen. You did you did the minimum. That's what's supposed to happen. It doesn't matter. Remember how many times I have told you the outside voices about Dabo Swinney are irrelevant. They're irrelevant. I've kept it a buck with you. Outside of Clemson, South Carolina, nobody likes Dabo Swinney. They think he's okie. They think he's corny. They think he's a yokel or a fraud. They think he's either a bless your heart kind of guy or that's just the character that he plays on television, right? Like, that's it. So because of that, I have said a number of times, it absolutely does not matter. It does not matter what those people say. The only thing that matters is what y'all think, is how y'all feel about the way he's handling the program. I have the same thing here. It does not matter what anybody says about the result of this football contest on Saturday. It simply matters what the boys in the locker room can say and what you guys as fans say after it's over. And if you go beat them by 45, you're going to get to say a lot of fun things. Lonzo's about to say some fun things when he reads the Sports Flash.
Well, not fun for Rob. The Atlanta Braves dropped game one in the wild card round series against the San Diego Padres last night, 4-0. Fernando Tatis opened the scoring for the Padres with a 2-round blast in the first inning, while Padres pitcher Michael King dominated Atlanta, throwing 11 scoreless innings striking out 12 with no walks issued. Atlanta tries to take game 2 tonight at 8:30. Across the rest of yesterday's playoff games, the Detroit Tigers defeated the Houston Astros 3-1. New York Mets beat the Milwaukee Brewers 8-4. The Kansas City Royals blanked the Orioles 1-0. All 3 game 2s are this afternoon into the night. So it goes to the afternoon, turns into night, apparently. Tune in this Saturday at 12:30 as the Furman Paladins take on the Citadel Bulldogs. It's Furman versus Citadel right here on your home for Paladins football, the Fan, upstate. Because afternoon, then there's evening, and then there's night. Jam Cam! Sorry, I have to run out of the room real quick. I don't have time to fix it, so it's going to just be empty.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, your favorite drafts are poured at a frosty 29 degrees, and rare barrel-aged whiskeys are served just the way you want them. It's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch every day from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Stick around after the sunset. Twin Peaks is open really late. Wind down with bourbon and late night vibes.
Mad World Haunted Attraction is now open, voted one of America's top haunts and #1 in South Carolina, located in Piedmont off I-85 exit 35. Grab your friends, get ready to scream. Buy your tickets now at madworldattractions.com.
You know, I couldn't stop talking about it to my family and friends. My knees are my trouble spot. But for me to tell them now that we're so much better, they were amazed. And I've been amazed.
QC Kinetics Cellular Therapies. Yes, it is amazing how these non-surgical treatments deliver joint pain relief for patients like Dr. Eric Williams, a successful chiropractor.
Each week I just started noticing that I could sleep and not have pain. I could play pickleball. I could do a CrossFit exercise routine.
QC Kinetics revitalizes your joints so you can move again without the pain pills or invasive surgery.
You know, I'm 60 years old. And
I don't believe that's what he was saying, Zach. But it could have been.
Book your free consultation with QC Kinetics today and experience the difference for yourself.
I like to go, move, move, move.
QC Kinetics. Call QC Kinetics, 864-448-3772. That's 864-448-3772. 864-448-3772.
Joey Hudson here for locally owned American-made windows. Listen, if you need new windows, you need to know that those unbelievable deals other companies are offering may be, well, unbelievable. Free windows and huge discounts sound good, but when those discounts are taken off, the prices ain't too much. At American-made windows, don't play those games. Their upfront prices are unequal. Call 499-8853. 499-8853. And remember, the best.
No, I would not take Clemson over. Well, yeah, I actually probably would take Clemson over Miami right now because of that Virginia Tech game. If you think Miami didn't get bailed out in that game, I don't know what to say to you. Respectfully and lovingly, of course.
Is there any other way?
Not for me. I'm a respectful and loving guy.
I've heard from a bunch of South Carolina fans that they feel disrespected.
Let's plant through my
They see
computer.
Kentucky getting all these accolades.
I know.
Playing a
I'm
close
still
game with
just
Georgia,
for safety
and beating Ole
purposes.
Miss last weekend after the Gamecocks clobbered them 31-6 a couple weeks ago. And I can get why you're a little upset, but if you want to get the respect that you feel like you deserve, you have to go win a big-time game. Hell, game day went to Columbia after you guys beat Kentucky. And say what you want about the officiating. It's been bad all through college football. South Carolina lost and missed a huge opportunity against LSU. But this weekend, with Lenora Sellers returning, Beamer and the boys can take a huge step towards getting that big-time respect back against an Ole Miss team that's going to be pissed off after losing at home to the Wildcats. The time for almost is over in South Carolina. And after this game, you enter a brutal stretch going to Alabama, then to Oklahoma, and then hosting Texas A&M. You need the momentum and the confidence to do something that not many people thought outside of Columbia could be done. So no more words about how unfair the Kentucky love is. Go out and earn your accolades. It's kill or be killed out here. And a close mouth don't get fed in these SEC streets.
Exclusively on the Fan
Upstate.
and on the Odyssey app.
Upstate.
QC in the first break.
10-4.
You're on official Rob Brown lockdown. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
This is the Rob Brown Show.
The Fan. Upstate.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hour number 2 of the Rob Brown Show starts now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Fan Upstate. Hello to you. And how do you do? Why is she wearing... Oh, wait till she comes back.
No,
on.
I saw.
Why is she wearing the same pants as the genie from Aladdin?
Dude, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out if I like it or not, but it does make her stand out. I mean,
Not incorrect. Not incorrect.
if she was here, I would think she ran out of laundry, like me. I'm gonna have to break down and hit a laundromat eventually.
No,
I
man,
guess.
you're taking cold showers. Just bring your clothes in the shower with you, man. Just wear the next day's clothes in the shower and then hang them up to dry. We're like living in the colonial era.
It probably would be less cold if I was wearing clothes in the shower.
You got to have a river somewhere near you, right?
Well, we got a creek, but I ain't
just
going
go,
down
Just
there.
go hop in the creek. Bring the clothes down, hop in the creek.
Would you come over and help me? Because I don't know how to do it. Maybe you can show me the proper methods to wash clothes in the creek.
Jump in, spin in a few circles. Seems like that's easy enough.
Sounds like you've done it before. Okay.
I mean, I've been camping.
Okay. Is that how you really wash your clothes when you? I don't think you wash clothes when you're camping.
No, I've never washed my clothes in a creek.
Yeah, you just wear the same clothes.
If I
for
go
4
camping, I
days.
just bring enough clothes.
Okay, well,
That's it.
I went and bought some more clothes, so I'm good. But I think I'm out as of Friday. So.
Oh man! All right, we got a lot to get to on the show today. If you want to be a part of it, 844-326-3663 is the number. 844-FANFONE. The renewal by Anderson to the Carolinas text line is open for you. 71307, 71307. Start your text with FAN, 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 FAM. We'll read them on the air. You can also tweet me at The Rob Brown Show. You can tweet Lonzo at Lonzo on Word. And you can get at all of us at The Fan Upstate. You can also on the Odyssey app, AUDACY, put it on all of your digital devices. Go to the Fan Upstate page. In the middle of the page, there is a little microphone button. You click on that microphone button and you can leave a 60-second voice note that will come directly to Lonzo and I. Go to the Odyssey app, go to the Fan Upstate page, click on the microphone button, and leave us a 60-second voice note that we can read play right here on the show. Different ways for you to get engaged and involved. Now, it is 7:03 in the morning. You have just over 56 minutes until you got to get to the office and get to work. All right? And if you got to go in today, if you know you got to go in today, well, you need to know what's going on in the world of sports. And if you need to know what's going on in the world of sports, well, my dear friends, do I have spectacular news for you? Lonzo and I are here to help with this.
Ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying, "Burn it down! Burn it down!"
First bathroom break.
No.
Here we go. Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
It is the water cooler cheat sheet, the top 3 sports stories you need to know before you get to the office and start talking sports this AM. When you do, this is what you'll be talking about. Let's dive right in with item number 1. Playoff baseball wildcard series got underway yesterday. 4 games, 2 in the AL, 2 in the NL. We started with our AL contest yesterday afternoon, and while I am not quite ready to say ding dong, the witch is dead, the Houston Astros are one step closer to their demise in the 2024 season after the Detroit Tigers take game one 3-1 was your final. Tarek Skubal was electrifying. 6 innings, just 4 hits surrendered, K'd 6 before the Tigers turned it over to the bullpen. The Tigers also knocked 7 hits and 3 earned runs off of Framber Valdez. The Astros also had to run through 5 different pitchers to get through the back end of that game. Offensively, 10 combined hits for Detroit yesterday. No home runs in this game for that team. They did not need them. They were able to get up in this game early. They put 3 up in the top of the second, and then it was just small ball and defense the rest of the ride. The Tigers get win number 1 in the American League. Game 2 in the American League, the Royals on the road at the Baltimore Orioles, and the Monarchy up 1-0 on the Birds after 1 at Camden Yard. The Kansas City Royals went with Carl Reagans last night. 6 innings, 4 hits, 8 strikeouts, no earned runs. Corbin Burns was electric yesterday. Corbin Burns deserved better than getting tagged with the L yesterday. 8 innings, 5 hits, 1 earned run. But that 1 earned run was the run that won the game for the Kansas City Royals, and KC up on Baltimore 1-0. Then we switched over to the National League, and the Magic City Mets got it done in game number 1. A come-from-behind victory again, this time over the Milwaukee Brewers. The Brew Crew went up a pair in inning 1. The Mets answered with 3. In the bottom of the 4th, Milwaukee got another 2. The Mets in the top of the 5th answered with a 5 spot of their own and blanked Milwaukee the rest of the ride. Luis Severino, 6 innings, 8 hits, 3 earned runs, 4 runs overall, K'd 3. Freddie Peralta got chased off the bump after 4 innings, gave up 2 hits and 3 earned runs, K'd 5, but they decided they needed to make the move early, did the Milwaukee Brewers. And once they did, when Payams came into the game, he got absolutely shellacked by the Mets in this one. They round the bases, 8-4 winners are New York. All 3 of our games so far saw the road dog with the W. Game 4, the lone exception. Padres 4, Bravos 0. AJ Smith-Shawver got the start for Atlanta, made it just 1.1 innings, gave up 4 hits, 3 earned runs before giving way to Aaron Bummer, Jesse Chavez, and Luke Jackson. Jackson would give up another run late in the contest that put the Padres up 4, and again, never looked back. San Diego put up a couple in the first with a moonshot by Fernando Tatis Jr. The Braves couldn't get anything going last night. 7 hits for Atlanta. None of them were consequential at all. The Braves had runners in scoring position 5 different times. They went 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position. Darno was 0 for 1. Ozuna was 0 for 1. Soler was 0 for 1. Urshela was 0 for 1. And Olsen was 0 for 1. Look, I don't know what to tell you. I told you coming into these playoffs, if the Atlanta Braves wanted any chance to make any noise, it was going to have to be because they carried momentum into the postseason, and it was going to have to be riding the arms. It was going to have to be pitchers. Well, because of the way the postseason set up, they don't have it. They don't have it. It's unfortunate, but it's true. They just don't have it right now. I mean, if you're throwing AJ Smith-Shawver out there in game 1, you don't have Chris Sale due to the back spasms outside. I don't know what to say. You got Max Fried going tonight, which is great. Max Fried's about as good as you can ask for. The problem is he's going up against Joe Musgrove, who's gotten better as the season progressed. To me, Atlanta's got the pitching matchup, but not like, oh, I'm going to go run and bet the farm on Atlanta to get game 2 because of Max Fried over Musgrove. And as Zach just said in the Facebook stream a minute ago, The Padres have everything going. They are slapping the ball. They are throwing the ball. They are electric on the base pass. The Padres were the best team of the last month, not just in the National League. Honestly, I think in all of baseball, the Padres were the best team entering this postseason. And the Braves, by not winning the first game in the doubleheader on Monday, are going to pay for it because they're getting swept tonight. Let's go to item number 2. A player demanding a trade ordinarily would not make it to the water cooler cheat sheet unless that player was A, something special, or B, directly connected to a team that we are directly connected to. Davante Adams is both. The Las Vegas Raiders have informed the rest of the NFL that they are considering trading the 3-time All-Pro Bowler Davante Adams for a package that would include a second-round draft pick and additional compensation, according to Adam Schefter. Adams was acquired by the Raiders in a trade with the Packers for a first and second-round draft pick back in 2022. Missed his first game as a member of the Raiders on Sunday with a hamstring injury. The Raiders would go on to win against the Browns 20-16. Earlier Tuesday, Adams appeared on the Up and Adams show with Kay Adams, was asked about Raiders coach Antonio Pierce's verified Instagram account liking a post from Sports Illustrated, wondering whether Adams had played his final game with the Raiders. Davante responded saying, quote, "I haven't heard from him. I haven't talked to him." Social media is a beast, so it's a lot of people out there who saw it and wondering what's going on and reaching out. Told by Kay Adams that a lot of people think he has played his last down with the Raiders. Davante said, quote, "All I can control is this talk we're having, right? And after we're done with this, all I can control is the next thing that I'm on to," end quote. Now, I don't really care what it does with the Raiders. All right, they are of no concern to me. There are 2 impacts here that I think are worth talking about on this show. Number 1, there's a 0.000% chance Alonzo's Kansas City Chiefs aren't at the head of the line. 0% chance they're not the first. If they're not on the phone with the Raiders already, I'll be shocked.
Not happening. They're not going to trade him to a rival in their own division.
Trade who? The Raiders weren't?
Yeah, they won't. He's going to the Jets. I mean, that's where he wants to go. That's where he's going to go. I mean, it was rumored before the season even started. That's where he wants to go. He's not going to go to the Chiefs. They're not going to trade him to the Chiefs.
I do agree that the Raiders are the most likely trade target or the team. Here's the thing.
Jets.
The Jets. Here's the thing. This isn't up to Davante, right? Like, this isn't up to Davante.
You're right. It's not. And that's the thing. Why would you trade this guy to the team that's already dominating you? They're not going to trade in division. They're just not going to.
It would 100% be, what are the Chiefs willing to put on the table, right? If the Chiefs call up and they go, hey, we'll give you your first, we'll give you your second, and we'll give you an extra second, and nobody else is willing to do that at that point, take it.
Not going to happen. Not going to happen.
What are the odds that this year or next the Raiders are ready to compete with the Kansas City Chiefs for a divisional title? 0.1%. Right?
They have a taste of what it's like to beat Kansas City. They destroyed them last year on Christmas. So it isn't like it's impossible for them to win. The fact that they're not willing to hang on to Adams, it means that he's disgruntled and he wants to go somewhere else, and that apparently works everywhere except for in the real world. But they're not going to trade him to the Chiefs. They're just not.
I have seen in-division trades happen all the time. Here's what it takes.
We're talking about the Raiders here.
Here's what it takes. It takes the other team, the trade partner in division, being willing to overpay. And I will tell you right now, you disagree with this, and that's fine. We'll see what happens. If I'm the Chiefs, I'll overpay for Davante Adams. If I'm the Chiefs, I will overpay to go get Patty Mahomes a bona fide one.
If they're going to go and get a receiver of that caliber, they'll find a way to get Tyreek Hill back. They're not, because he knows the system and everything, and they won't have to do that much of getting him up to speed. Tyreek Hill could come in and play right now and know probably almost all the plays.
See, the problem you have here is Tyreek ain't on the block right now.
Not yet.
He's not on the block.
Not yet.
He's
And
not going to be on the block.
We'll see.
They're not going to blow it up because
also,
Tua's out.
Adams is not going to go to Kansas City. It's just not going to happen.
I mean, listen, I all of the things that you are saying are genuinely good arguments why it won't happen. I also know it has happened before. I also know that there have been divisional trades for players the caliber of Davante Adams. It's just a matter of, do the Chiefs feel like getting to the three-peat is worth overpaying the market value for Davante? And all I can say, and this is just where we have to leave it because it is just subjective in opinion now. To me, if I'm the Chiefs, I'd absolutely overpay for Davante Adams. There is not a Davante Adams on the roster in Kansas City. I don't care how good you think Xavier Worthy is. I don't care if you're of the zone mentality that, just somebody's going to show up with a cape and their underoos on the outside. There is no Davante Adams in Kansas City.
When does talent outplay or overshadow attitude? Because he hasn't been happy wherever he's been. So why you bring that guy in when he hasn't been happy wherever he's been?
He hasn't. He was happy in Green Bay until Aaron Rodgers left. And again, most of us feel that regardless of how you feel about Aaron Rodgers got screwed by the pack. We all agree on that. Even people who don't like Aaron Rodgers agree. Aaron Rodgers got screwed by the Packers, and it ticked off Davante, which is why he wanted out. Then he goes to Kansas. What'd Kansas do? They got Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell to throw the ball.
He didn't go to Kansas.
I mean, Las Vegas.
Yeah,
he goes to Vegas, and he's got Gardner. And all due respect to Gardner Minshew, I'm a big Gardner Minshew guy. I 100% want to travel the world in the back of a van with Gardner Minshew. It sounds like it'd be awesome. He's got Gardner Minshew, and he's got Aiden O'Connell throwing him the football. They did not set themselves up to be better this year than last year, and Davante's ticked off about it, and I think it is absolutely justified. This belief that if you're unhappy with your work environment, you're a toxic guy with an attitude, I could not disagree with it more. Sometimes you work in a crappy work environment. And they're the Raiders. Like, I don't have an issue with Davante being done with what's happening in the LV right now.
There are other, to me, more realistic places where he could land. Buffalo is one. The Jets is where he's going. That's just, I mean, the Jets want him. They're willing to probably give what he's being asked for and more.
Listen, just so we're clear, I am not disagreeing with that at all. Like, not in the least. I am saying there are other destinations out there. And by the way, my team's one of those as well, as Joey B pointed out. He was happy in Vegas for 1 year in 2022 when Derek Carr was there, a guy he had a relationship with. He went to Vegas to play with Derek Carr. And then they let Derek Carr walk. And that's when all of this started, right? So there's the potential if he really wants to play with Derek Carr again, my team's on the table. Now, I don't think we're given a first and a second for him. I think we could be talked out of like a first and a fourth. I don't know if that's going to be enough. All right, very, very quickly, item number 3. Sorry, I threw the, all right, I'll just say it. Southeastern Conference Big Ten athletic directors all meeting in Nashville, Tennessee this week. 2 things on the table. Number 1, as we talked about yesterday, we'll get more into this later in the show. They are putting together a plan to go after the College Football Playoff Selection Committee and demand of the CFP Selection Committee that those 2 conferences be given 4 automatic qualification berths to the playoffs every year. But there's another thing that they're going to discuss today. The other thing they're going to discuss, a scheduling partnership between the 2 conferences that would see SEC and Big Ten teams eating up each other's non-conference schedule moving forward. Why? Keep the money in the house. Real simple. But we'll talk about the impact of that on the college football game later on the Rob Brown Show with the Fan Upstate.
QC.
Oh, quick read live. What? Quick live read. Be right back. Major League Baseball postseason now in a 1-0 hole. It is a best of 3 series to open it up, which means if the Bravos eat L number 2 today, it also ends their season. They will be going with Max Fried off the bump tonight. At this point, you pull out every stop, you pull every card out of the sleeve, every rabbit out of every hat to figure out how to do it. It is just survival at this point. And as I've said a couple of times, I'm not even allowing myself to have like the briefest glimpses of hope. There's no point of it to me. This team is it's just not ready. It's just not there. I'd like it to be, but it's just not there. You have a chance anytime that Max Fried goes to the bump. And Max Fried being Max Fried, a guy who is going to be arguably the most highly paid free agent this upcoming offseason when he inevitably ends up becoming a Los Angeles Dodgers, because the rule is the Dodgers are just allowed to have whoever they want. That's just how baseball that is now.
Isn't that didn't that used to be the Yankees? When did that change?
It's them too.
Okay.
It's them too. It's effectively anytime a top-notch free agent becomes available, it's do the Dodgers want him or do the Yankees want him? And if neither team does, then the rest of you peons may have the opportunity to sign this guy. So Max Fried is going to be a free agent. He's going to be a Dodger next year. This very likely could be his final game as an Atlanta Brave. We'll find out. Maybe AA pulls something wizard out of his hat, and we end up seeing Max Fried stick around. I am not banking on it. Anytime you got Max Fried on the bump, you got a chance. But again, last night, Atlanta found themselves out of the gate. I'm talking inning number 1. 2 on, 1 out. Opportunity to make something happen. K fly out. Atlanta had plenty of base runners last night. 10 hits, couple of walks late in the game. Plenty of opportunities for Atlanta last night. And there's just no clutch gene, man. There's just no clutch gene. There's just nothing in them that makes you look and go, I trust them in tense situations. Because right now I don't. Somebody said yesterday on social media, they said, actually, Ryan Horvath said when I was on BetMGM tonight, he was like, I think I might put a Braves to win the World Series ticket down because this team reminds me a lot of the 2021 team. Remember 2021? No Ronald Acuna Jr. that season. He had the bum wheel just like he does this year. But there was grit to that team. There was some level of determination to that team that I don't see out of this team. I just don't see out of this team. This team refuses to make changes. This team does not adapt. This team doesn't change it up from the plate or at the plate. There's nothing about this team, I'm sorry, that's inspiring. Every game in the second half of the season, there were plenty of times, again, I talked about it a little bit yesterday. There was a run after the All-Star break where the Phillies came out ice cold. There was a spot after the All-Star break where the Phillies genuinely opened the door for the Braves. And Atlanta just grabbed the doorknob and slammed their own junk in the door frame. There's just no clutch to this team at all. You've got a team that has, I looked this stat up last night, and I think I've got it correct. This team has one player inside the top 45 in OPS in Major League Baseball this year. Inside the top 5. One player offensively inside the top 45. Now, we do have to point out, and I think it is fair to say, the number of injuries for Atlanta this year are staggering. Not only are you missing Spencer Strider, off your rotation who would have been a difference maker. Not only are you missing last year's National League most valuable player, Ronald Acuna Jr., but throughout the regular season, just about everybody who wasn't Marcelo Zuna and Matt Olson missed extended time on the IL. And it's not so much that, we have a 2 or 3 week stint without Sean Murphy, or a 2 or 3 week stint. By the way, Austin Riley is done for the year as well. That's a major piece of your offense. Not only do you lose all of those cats, but it also changes everything about your team, right? It changes the team chemistry. It changes the locker room. It changes the lineup. It changes who's batting where and when and how. It changes everything. And when it changes everything, and then that guy comes back, then you got to try to change it all back. And it doesn't go well. So I commend the Atlanta Braves for making it to the postseason. I commend the boys for getting here. I think there is some level of, if this matters to you at all, I think there is some level of moral victory for Atlanta in reaching this spot, reaching the postseason, when all things said they should not have. But they're just not that good. That's it. If and I do want to add one more thing to it before I get to my my ifs, ands, and buts here. The Atlanta Braves screwed the Atlanta Braves. Bret Hart screwed Bret Hart. The Atlanta Braves screwed the Atlanta Braves. Last week, the Atlanta Braves should have moved that doubleheader up against the Mets. They didn't do that. Why didn't they do that? It depends on who you ask. If you ask the Braves, what the Braves said was, well, we had a hurricane coming. We didn't want to be the reason that anybody that may have needed to delay getting out of town did so. We didn't want anybody hanging around Atlanta, getting in trouble with the storm, and then going, the only reason I stayed is because I already had tickets to the Braves game. The reality is it's because they sold 65,000 tickets to game one against the Mets because of how important that series against the Mets was, and they didn't want to lose the gate for game two and game three. So instead of playing the doubleheader like they absolutely should have the next day, starting the doubleheader at 10 o'clock in the morning and getting them both done by 3 or 4 in the afternoon, instead of doing what they should have done, playing that series as a doubleheader the next day and finishing it so that these teams could go finish their last series, Braves at the Royals, Mets in the, Brewers. Go finish those series, and then let's see where the playoff seeding is. But they didn't do that. They wanted the gate revenue. And I get it. Baseball's money, right? I'm not disillusioned. The problem is, it also meant all your pitchers had to throw on Monday, and then the wild card round starts on Tuesday. Oh, and by the way, those games on Monday, they mattered. Those games on Monday, they meant something. Those games on Monday determine, are you going to Milwaukee, are you going to San Diego, or are you going the hell home? Which means you couldn't rest. You couldn't hang back. You add on to that the Chris Sale thing, and it was just it's a recipe for disaster. That's all it is. I don't like it. It's ugly. The Braves screwed themselves as far as we'd rather have the gate than have the best possible setup for us to potentially go win the wild card round on the road. But as far as the team goes, it's just not good enough, man. It's just not. Blame it on the injuries. Blame it on Brian Snicker. Blame it on the rain that was falling. You can blame it on whatever you want to blame it on. At the end of the day, you got one guy inside the top 45 offensive players. You got a pitching staff that is already banged up and now taxed because of the way the season wrapped up. And I got a manager who looks like he's asleep most of the time. It kind of is what it is. I was texting Joey B last night during the game. I'm like, I hope we get blown out in game one. I hope we lose game one 25-0. I hope it's embarrassing so that I can just go to bed the next 2 nights and not worry about it. When we come back, athletic directors from the SEC and the Big Ten are getting together in Nashville, Tennessee this week to talk about some stuff that I've told you already was an inevitability. We'll talk more about it when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Live.
All right, guys, when we're live, when we're back, stay right there for me, please, and thank you. On a Wednesday morning, the midweek edition rolls on. let's continue. We talked about this a little bit earlier in the show, and I got a cup text messages about it. From different spots, but I want to bring it back up. I think, Lonzo, and you know, I know that we've said this about games in the past. I mean, it's true of every football team. You know, the most important game is the next one. But I do think
we're moving on to Cincinnati.
I do. God, that was so good. I do think that there are spots where a game has increased importance, increased significance. And I do think that there are some that have such increased importance and such increased significance that it is fair to say this is the most important game of whatever time period. This is the most important game of the week. This is the most important game of the season. This is the most important game of the year. This is the most important game of the decade. This is the most important game of this coach's tenure, this quarterback's tenure, whatever. Lonzo, this Saturday is the most important game of Shane Beamer's career. And I'll tell you why. After the Kentucky win, after the dogfight against LSU, where I do think that most of, not all, most of us do believe that a little home cooking, well, I guess away cooking, that's not as good of a phrase. A little extra yellow hanky action helped LSU escape Columbia, South Carolina. After the Kentucky game, after the LSU game, I think there's some folks looking at this Gamecock football program and saying, maybe there's something happening here, right? Maybe there's a little something happening here. It wasn't just that you beat Kentucky. It's that you beat Kentucky. And then, oh, by the way, Kentucky the next week goes out, gives Georgia everything that they want and a little something more, goes out the next week and beats a top 5 Ole Miss team. Now, I did spend the offseason telling all of you that I think Ole Miss was overrated. As much as I love Lane Kiffin, the content generator, I thought they're an overrated football team. Still a great win for the Kentucky Wildcats. Right. So the Gamecocks got a little something cooking in the eyes of the college football landscape. Here's the thing. You get beat by Ole Miss, and I don't mean lose. I mean you get beat by Ole Miss if they are clearly far and away the better football team on Saturday. It floats off in the wind. If you get beat on Saturday, that's all gone. If you win on Saturday, and you can win ugly, you can win pretty, you can win by a little, you can win by a lot. Take advantage of the narrative that Ole Miss is a good team that had a bad game against an underappreciated Kentucky team. It's a bad narrative. They're an okay team that had a bad day against an okay team. That's it. In my opinion, nothing more, nothing less. But the narrative here sets up very well for South Carolina. The narrative here is now written in a way that you have an enormous opportunity to take advantage of. Shane Beamer and the Gamecocks come out and win this game. All of the sudden, I think everybody starts to look at this program and go, oh, they really do got a little something going down there. I think you come out and you win this football game, and all of a sudden people look and they go, that Kentucky game wasn't a fluke. That LSU game was legitimate. This team has found a little something. You've got a healthy Rocket Sanders after the bye week. You've got a healthy Lenora Sellers after the bye week. You had a week to dial in and focus on the game plan. for Ole Miss, I will simply say this. Win against Ole Miss, everything changes. Lose against Ole Miss, and it's close, and whatever. Don't be competitive in this game. When you had the bye week and they did not, when you had the extra time to get healthy and get right and they did not, when you had the extra week to be dialed in on exactly what you need to do to beat Jackson Dart and the Ole Miss Running Rebels and they did not, do not come out and every bit of positive thought, emotion, everything that you guys have accomplished to impress people so far this season goes right out the window, in my opinion.
Well, they've already exceeded expectations from a lot of people as far as how good they look. Now they've got to win a big one, and that's what this Saturday would be. What are the odds out? I'm curious. I'm guessing that South Carolina is not picked to win. But,
sure.
But I wonder. That would be one.
Yes, it would.
I wonder. Now
I'm going to sniffle into the mic the rest of the show, just so you know. You're all going to have to deal with it because Alonzo.
Yeah, I don't care. It doesn't bother me. I can handle sniffles all day as long as you don't do that breath thing.
Oh, I don't have my clipboard.
And I don't have it turned up anyway, so you wouldn't have got me. Yeah, I'm just curious about what the odds are.
South Carolina is plus 9.5. You got to cover that. Again, now I will also point out, Vegas has been giving Ole Miss credit all year, and you know what I'm gonna do? I'm actually gonna play something I was hanging on to for later, but I'll do it here. Let's see. This is was it Cannell? I'm not a big Cannell guy. I think Cannell's a hot take artist, and I think it's kind of weak. I think Danny Cannell's a hot take artist. I do think he got this one about Ole Miss quite right.
Congrats to Mark Stoops.
Yep. So that's what I get for trying to edit audio during the show for you people.
Congrats to Mark Stoops, but this is a devastating loss for Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss. There's both sides of the story. I think this is what happens when you schedule a bunch of nobodies and you run through them and we all fall for it. We're like, well, they scored 76 points against Furman and they go out there and blow out teams, Middle Tennessee, Georgia Southern, Wake Forest, one of the worst teams in the ACC. And everybody's like, look how great they look. You don't truly know the makeup of your team until you get tested, until you get punched in the mouth. And today, Ole Miss got punched in the mouth, and they did not respond. They looked shook for most of the second half, thinking, wait a second, this team is still trying against us? We're Ole Miss. We blow out everybody. And they did not respond to the test. So this is, yes, it's about Kentucky, but it's also about Ole Miss coming up short in a year where their fan base thought they were on a straight line for the playoffs and potentially a national championship. This is a devastating loss for Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss.
Keep Furman's name out your mouth.
So is it a thing? Well, wow, you let Kentucky do that? When Kentucky got beat by South Carolina, they come out and they're a different Kentucky right now. So I mean, them losing to Kentucky, I don't think is as big of a deal as it would have been in the past. Kentucky is a lot better than what people think.
I disagree. I don't think they are. I don't think Kentucky's that good. I think Kentucky's okay. I put them, as I do with most, as there's two tiers of SEC ball. There's Georgia. I'll say there's three. There's Georgia. There's Alabama. There's a drop. There's LSU. You know what? I'm going to go Georgia, Alabama, Texas, Tennessee. I'm going to go LSU.
I'm glad you decided to put Texas in there.
Yeah, I keep forgetting about Texas.
They're like the number one team in the nation. And yeah.
No, they're not. Alabama is.
Oh, I'm sorry. They were last week.
They were last week.
Yeah.
But I think there's Alabama, Texas, Georgia. There's Tennessee, LSU. And then there's just everybody else. And Kentucky's very much in the everybody else category. I think after the game against Georgia, people wanted to elevate them up into the upper echelon. Wanted to elevate. Oh, look at Kentucky. Oh, they've arrived. I don't think they have. I think they're fine. I think they're okay. Right? I'm not overall impressed, which is why, to me, Ole Miss doesn't come out of that game and get credit for, that's a tough place, Lexington, Kentucky, against the good. There's a reason that they're Kentucky. And South Carolina won in there and slapped them in the mouth 31-6, right? And so now, again, transitive property of football is very dangerous. The expectation for South Carolina, and maybe this is really the kind of the point of all of this. South Carolina has an expectation this weekend now. At least to me, they do.
And you know what? I don't want to see anyone get injured, but Lenore Sellers going down was not entirely a bad thing because the backup quarterback got reps and looked really good. So I'm looking forward to this weekend.
I am too. And I think it is because, like I said, I think it's because I have expectations now, right? My expectations for South Carolina coming into the season were what? Make a bowl game. Now I have game-by-game expectations. And I said preseason. Like, I can find you 4. Now I got to have you get 2 I don't expect. And Ole Miss was very much on that list that I went, this is one that's very squarely in the maybe category. I'm not saying that I expect a win for Ole Miss. I'm saying for South Carolina, I'm saying the game is winnable. And if you, Shane Beamer, if you want me to believe that you really, truly, genuinely have turned a corner with this football program, as you have said you have done a number of times this season, then what I need you to do is I don't want to say I need you to win, but what I need you to do is stop getting close and then saying that's good enough, right? Go win the game. Go win the game. Because you now have expectations, especially with Ole Miss losing to Kentucky. Now you're a team that you smoked, by the way, on the same field just a couple of weeks later. And oh, by the way, this Ole Miss team, as Danny Cannell pointed out, yeah, they dropped a bunch of 70s and 60s against Furman. Quick, name me another team Ole Miss played. Right, exactly. So, to me, respect is on the table for the Gamecocks this weekend. You can go win this game at home, and I think everybody's going to look at Columbia and go, oh, they're for real. Oh, this is not a joke. They have taken a step forward. That's not to say you're finishing the season with a bunch more wins. Look, you got Alabama. But I'll say this. After what I saw out of Oklahoma against Auburn this weekend, Lonzo, if you can beat Ole Miss, you can beat Oklahoma. I firmly believe that. If you can beat Ole Miss and you can beat Oklahoma, you can beat Texas A&M. I firmly believe that. If you win this game, there's, let's see, if you win this game, great one, I'm going to say for the remainder of the schedule, there's one more game that I would say you cannot win. That's Alabama. But if you can beat Kentucky, if you can beat Ole Miss, well, if you can beat Kentucky, you can beat Ole Miss. If you can beat Ole Miss, you can beat Oklahoma. If you can beat Oklahoma, you can beat Texas A&M. If you can beat any of those teams, you can beat Missouri. And then it comes down to Alabama and Clemson. Make a statement. This is a statement weekend. The thing is, most of the time when we say this is a statement weekend, we mean for the season we're talking about, right? This is a statement weekend for 20. No. This is a statement weekend for Shane Beamer's tenure. This is a statement weekend for Shane Beamer, the coach. You go out and you win this game. You beat Joey Freshwater. You do it at the house. And I think a statement has been made about the Gamecocks of South Carolina. Don't talk about it no more. Be about it. You know who would be about it? He'd be about this. No. Lonzo's going to wow you now, Sports Flash Time. I'm bad at this. All of it.
He's trying really hard, people. He really is. The Atlanta Braves dropped game 1 in the wild card round series against the San Diego Padres last night, 4-0. Fernando Tatis opened the scoring for the Padres with a 2-round blast in the first inning, while Padres pitcher Michael King dominated Atlanta, throwing 7 scoreless innings, striking out 12 with no walks issued. Atlanta tries to take game 2 tonight at 8:30. Florida State University will not play former Clemson quarterback DJ Uiagalelei against his old Tigers team this weekend. The Seminoles say DJU suffered a broken finger last week in a loss against SMU and will be replaced as QB1 by freshman Brock Lynn, who makes his first start. Make sure you tune in this Saturday at 12:30 as the Furman Paladins take on the Citadel Bulldogs. It's Furman versus Citadel right here on your home for Paladins football, The Fan, Upstate. Kevin's still waiting.
North Carolina, we'll discuss as we take a bite out of history.
An E-Rod.
The night of January 24th, 1961, a B-52 Stratofortress bomber is on an alert readiness mission. Suddenly, they began to experience a drop in thrust. It can't get enough power to maintain altitude, and they begin a rapid ascent towards the farmland below in Goldsboro, Georgia. At 9,000 feet, the pilot realizes the dive is unrecoverable, and he orders his men to eject. 5 crewmen successfully eject. 1 crewman ejected but died in the process, and 2 airmen died. Mark 39 Mod 2 thermonuclear weapons. Bomb 1 was thrown to the breakage at 9,000 feet. Its arming rod was pulled, but luckily a safety switch somehow stayed in place. Bomb 2 was thrown at just 5,000 feet with no parachute and fell to earth before the detonation process proceeded. Bomb 1 was hauled off, but a large portion of Bomb 2 is still on the ground today and marked by a circle of trees and historical road marker. This has been a bite out of history.
You don't have to keep living with that joint pain. Real lasting relief is possible with the help of QC Kinetics. People are getting their lives back, getting their mobility back, thanks to QC Kinetics. Hey, it's Charlie James. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in cellular therapies that can revitalize your joints. I'm talking about advanced regenerative medicine using your own body's healing properties, highly concentrated and carefully placed in your achy joint. Back pain, shoulder pain, knee pain, these are cutting-edge treatments that require no surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. It's a quick office procedure that can get you moving again. These protocols have been developed by medical professionals and under the leadership of Dr. Mitchell Scheinkamp, a former orthopedic surgeon and a pioneer in clinical regenerative medicine.
Them to come
joint pain keeping you from doing the things
to more
you do,
agreements
your hips,
on
your shoulder,
playing more regularly, specifically be bowls or with one another in zeroing in more so on CFP format. You guys remember the 3-3-2-2-4 2-2-1 model. Under the new agreement, they have control over it, just like they had control over in ESPN. Control the future format. They have control through the new agreement.
It's essential.
The SEC, Big Ten, and ESPN control the future format. They have control over it, just like they had control over the revenue distribution. And people are probably wondering, why were they given all this control? Because they were threatening to leave and split off into the group.
In February, this was some of the rhetoric that went along with the announcement of this advisory group. When back then, when alarm bells were going off because you know when you're getting caught, these challenges, the challenging landscape of college sports, these challenges, including but not limited to recent court decisions, pending litigation, a patchwork of state laws, and complex governance proposals, compel the two conferences to take a leadership role in developing solutions for a sustainable future of college sports. Here's what they see as the future of a sustainable college sports is them getting more and more and more of the power and more of the money and screw everybody else. And guess what they're going to do? They're going to raise it more to their liking, which comes down to number of automatic bids. Secondly,
on 97.1 FM in Spartanburg, 97.7 FM in Greenville, and on the free Odyssey app. All brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union and your local Eagles.
Your morning jolt of sports. It's the Rob Brown Show.
Tune in tomorrow for Two Broke Girls. Now let's go out to Masters coverage.
Thank you for joining us after another incredible episode of Two Broke Girls. I don't know if it's quite appropriate to say right now. Kat Dennings Absolute smoke show. So hot. The only thing on this network more beautiful than Augusta National Golf Course is cat daddies.
Don't hit snooze. Hit play. The Rob Brown Show. Now morning 6 to 10 on The Fan.
The Fan Upstate.
The Fan.
Upstate. WORD Spartanburg.
What do you think of the uniforms you guys have on?
W249
I'll ask you this. What do you think?
246 TV Spartanburg.
I'm old, okay? I grew up with all mentality. I'm a fan of the traditional uniforms. You guys go back to the 70s uniforms. I like it when they peel off the logo all together, silver helmet, blue shirts, big silver block numbers. I like the traditional uniform. And I know it's a uniform you guys wore in the past, but I feel like Nike's always saying we want more. I can't keep the team straight, Aiden. I need you gotta bear with me.
Good morning.
Oh man, that's no fun, dude. Come on. I mean, I freaking love them. You know, let's spice life up a little bit. You know.
Most impressive.
Excuse
It is.
me while I whip this out.
Sorry, I was. Mike Florio was asking Aiden Hutchinson about the Lions uniforms from the other day. And Aiden Hutchinson got on Florio for being an old, boring guy. And I'm not gonna lie, I was enthralled. I think we should be calling out bad takes even when they're about uniforms.
Wait. So he went at the media and you're okay with it?
Yeah, I don't know why you think that I'm gonna defend every person who has a microphone or a pencil. Some people are bad at it. Some people are bad at it. No, what
Have
I
you
am
listened to this show?
what I am against.
Ooh, he
is
pointed his
when-
finger. By
Yes, I did. I did a full finger wag, the full Dikembe Mutombo. What I'm against. Oh, I forgot to do the damn thing again.
No, I had it down because
I didn't flip it back over to my regular channel.
No, not today.
What I get mad about is when people lump the media together as one thing and don't distinguish that everybody in the media is a separate entity that acts a different way.
Well, we're basically just talking about sports media, and they all act the same exact way. Every single one of those people.
No, you're one of them, bud. I'm sorry to remind you once again, you're the sports media, pal. You're one of those people. Hey, you know who's not, but is going to be on the sports media? Well, actually, I mean, he is, actually. My man, Kevin, on the phone.
Your transitions, they're just not good today.
I'm not going to lie, dude. I'm getting my ass kicked today. All right? I think the vacation fuzz has like settled in now.
It's no electricity. Come on.
Oh, that's a huge part of it.
Because I am fighting every moment going, push button, hand, move, push button.
It's
say full sentence.
It's a little bit of that. And it's also the fact that, I was gone for a week and a half. I come back, like there's a week and a half it takes to run through, but now we're 3 days in. Like now we're getting back into the regular ebb and flow with the show a little bit. And I haven't fully recovered. Let's see if Kev can bail me out a little bit here. Kev, what's up, big dog?
Man, hey, fellas, how y'all doing?
Good, brother. How you
nice
been?
To meet you new guys, man.
Yeah, no, it's our pleasure, brother. We're glad to be here. It's good to be settling into our new role here at the Fan Upstate.
Right. I get it, man. I tell y'all what, y'all in a nice place, man. Good to have y'all here, man. Hey, man, let me tell y'all something, man. Don't leave no more, man. If you leave, just send me something to just listen to something. Y'all say something. Like, if you need a substitute teacher, just let me come sit in. I feel like I'm a little bro, so I can just come sit in for the big bros. Why y'all gone, man? Just hold it down.
Listen, I need you to know, Kev, I was going to do the show down from St. Augustine during wedding week. The fiance turned wife. Yeah.
In your nose.
Yeah. So listen, on Saturday, I actually, from the back porch at the house we got married at, I jumped on my Saturday show for like 15 minutes, right? I was like, she's getting ready. I got nothing to do. I'm already suited up, right? Like I'm just killing time. Let me jump on the show with the boys. And I'm on the air. And when I get off the air, one of her friends comes around the corner, Kev, looks at me in the face and goes, "What are you doing?" And I was like, I'm not doing anything. I got on the air to talk about baseball for 15 minutes. And the friend, who I'm friends with now too, but she looks me dead in the face, Kevin, and she goes, "You're an idiot." And I realized,
Kevin, that's not why he did it. He's been talking about how good he looks in the suit, and he wanted everyone to see it. That's why he did it.
For the record, I did, and they did.
Yeah, hey, man, keep it funky with us, man. You just want everybody to see how good you're looking. You're down to 112 pounds, man. So, hey, I want people to see me, too. I really would.
The people want to see me, Kevin. That's what it comes down to.
I might check you out. I want to see, you done turned into Pretty Boy Floyd on us. So, I might check you out on this picture, too, man.
All right, what you got for us, big dog?
Hey, man, my Tar Heels, my Green Bay Packers, and even my high school team is having a bad year this year, man. We all trying to figure it out.
Your Packers. Let me ask you about that. Was it just the last 5 games of Jordan Love that had y'all convinced this? Because I got to tell you, man, like the Packers are going to make me a bunch of money this year because them and the Dallas Cowboys, I bet the under win total on both, and I'm feeling real good about it. What had you sold that the Packers were going to be like a playoff team all of a sudden in a division with the Detroit Lions, who are good?
Because hey, man, the way we finished out, we figured we'd just keep it rolling, but then you get a couple injuries hitting, other things got to happen, but I still don't feel like we got it to get over the top right now. Even Minnesota looking good right now. So,
well, that's because they got future first ballot Hall of Famer Sam Darnold at quarterback, Kev.
Sam Darnold just coming out the woodworks on him.
We're going to talk about that in a minute because Aaron Rodgers had something to say about it on McAfee's show yesterday, but talking about Sam Darnold and some of these other quarterbacks that are having a resurgence in their career. But no, man, like I got a soft spot for the Packers. Any team with a cheese theme, I'm all on board with. All right. I just didn't see it this year, man. Like I think you're close. Let me be abundantly clear. I think the Packers are close to being a good team. I know that with the addition of Josh Jacobs, there was a lot of excitement, but like this ain't 2022 Josh Jacobs, right? Like this isn't the cat that led the NFL in rushing a couple of years ago. And after that, is Romeo Doubs the guy that you think is carrying you to the promised land? Because I'm looking at the rest of everybody who's not Josh Jacobs and going, where's the threat, man? I don't see it.
We don't have it. We don't have it. We're gonna have to make a trade. You do something different. Hey, Davante want to.
I was about to say. I heard there's a wide receiver available down in Vegas. Y'all might have heard of.
He just got on stage the other day talking about, I hadn't said this and I hadn't said that. Now it's all of a sudden not on the table. Hey man, keep it funky, man. Just say what you say. If you're gonna say it, stand on it.
Here's my favorite thing, and I mean this. I was thinking about this. I'm glad you brought that up, Kevin. I was thinking about this when we talked about it earlier in the show. I haven't heard Davante Adams say he wants to trade. This is the Raiders that came out and said we're willing to trade him. I don't know that Davante has asked for or wants a trade. I think the Raiders are just sick of the bull on the sidelines, dude.
Yeah. You're not gonna keep trying to put the team on above, like you're gonna put yourself above the team and got little shenanigans going on. Guess what? You might well start getting your locker together and go ahead and start, pants down the middle, jerseys to the left, helmet on the side.
I mean,
go ahead and hang it up.
Now we just all hang in there and hope he doesn't become a Chief. Kev, good to have you, big dog. Appreciate you.
Hey, man. Y'all fellas hold it down, man. And hey, man, stay there, man.
I mean, I burned all my vacation
days,
days, Kevin.
He doesn't have any more days.
Yeah. At this point, I'm not allowed to go anywhere else. I'm just locked in. Appreciate it, big dog. Good to talk to you. Let's that's the fun thing about this Davante story is, has Davante said that he wants a trade? Because I don't think Davante said he wants a trade. What it sounded like to me is that effectively the Raiders are kind of sick of the attitude on the sideline, which don't get me wrong, I understand. But Davante Adams came to Vegas when Derek Carr was still there. That's future first ballot Hall of Famer Derek Carr to you. When Derek Carr was still there, Davante believed he was going to be playing with Derek Carr, a guy that he had a previously established good relationship with. This was at a point in time where it looked like the Raiders were kind of trending on the upward trajectory, and they've done nothing but backslide since then. They've shed talent, right? They've done nothing but backslide at this point. And by the way, your starting quarterback possibilities for Davante Adams were Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell. The only point that I'm making here is, yes, there are probably more constructive ways to show your frustration if you're Davante Adams than to go running off on the sideline, slamming your helmet into the bench and having to be restrained by your teammates and all that. Like, that's not unfair. There are more constructive ways to get it across that you are frustrated with the direction of the team, as, again, I would be as well. Cody Decker is a Raiders guy. He's beyond frustrated right now. It's understandable. But there are more constructive ways of handling yourself than the way that Davante Adams has done it. And I think, though I could be wrong, I'm usually not, I think that this is largely the Raiders deciding that they're done with Davante, not Davante deciding he's done with the Raiders. However, I'm not going to beat Davante Adams up for this, man. I'm not. The guy had a good chunk of his prime wasted in his final couple of years in Green Bay. He goes over to Vegas. He's having his prime wasted further by the Raiders, who knew that they needed to do something about the quarterback position this offseason, and they didn't. They said Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell are the guys that we trust in this situation. That's not good enough. It's just not. So, I know the easy thing to do today is to pile on to Davante Adams. But I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to pile onto Davante because I think his concerns are warranted. I think his frustration is warranted. There's a reason Aaron Rodgers wanted out at Green Bay. It's very much connected to the reason that Davante Adams wanted out of Green Bay. And the reason he wanted out of Green Bay is the same reason that he's so damn frustrated right now with the Raiders. They knew what the problem was. They knew where they needed to make a move. They knew the spot that they found themselves in and how to address it, and they just didn't. I think the Raiders got to a point where they gave Antonio Pierce the head coaching job. The team loved it, right? And they went, okay, good vibes. I think there's a lot of and I've worked places like this before. There's a lot of places, work environments, where the office will think that if they give you good vibes for a day, everything else is fixed. Everything else is great. This is, you know what the online joke has been for years is how at a point in time where workplace morale is at an all-time low, you will inevitably find a pizza party, right? Like, that's the internet meme. That's the joke. Hey, everybody, thanks for coming in for overtime, even though we didn't approve any overtime pay. Thanks for working for less money. I know everything is struggling right now, and we know it's a big ask of you guys to keep it 100. So here's a pizza party. I was laughing the other day that meme came to real life down in Tampa when Hurricane Helene was taking aim at Tampa Bay. It was actually west of Tampa, but the eastern side of the storm is the worst, and that was going to go right over Tampa. And I'm not going to say the name of it, but there was a particular grocery store that is the most popular grocery store in Florida. There is a particular grocery store down in Florida that sent out a corporate memo that basically said, we're keeping our stores open all the way up until the storm gets there, right? And so if you worked for this store, if you wanted to keep your job, you had to go to work, which meant that not only could you not leave if you felt that that was the right course of action, not only could you not leave, but you couldn't even stay home and hurricane prep your own home. You had to go to the store. And there was a bunch of guys that went online and posted that when they got to work, a job that they could not leave, can't afford to leave the job, but when they got to work, which meant that they could not hurricane prep their own homes, the managers basically were like, we're going to hold you here until the storm hits, then we'll let you go. You know, when you can't go out there anymore, then we'll let you go. And to thank you for all of that, here's pizza. And the best part, great one, was they went and they got, for a grocery store's amount of people that were working there, they went and got one pizza from one of the cheap fast pizza to go chains. And they thought that everybody there was just going to be super thrilled about this. Like they were all going to be fine because they got one pizza for the whole store from one of the $5 for a large pizza joints.
Sorry, I think you just gave that away. I worked at grocery stores for like the first 5 or 6 years of me trying to figure out what I was going to do. This sounds normal to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's what grocery stores do.
But like I said yesterday, there is like it or not, there is a societal movement to get better treatment for employees. And I'll tell you, look at what the Raiders have done and look at what the Packers did. I actually do not fault Davante Adams for being upset about the situation. I would be too. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute from right now. Audio Blitz. Got a couple of bits of sound, our favorite sound from the last couple of days of social media, and we'll play those for you and react to them next on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Yeah, incoherent. I'm turning into Frankenstein.
Current,
yeah.
Step away for just a minute, guys. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Dog. Bro. That is the ice coldest line I have ever heard of.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
Google me.
Kind of a big deal.
Google me. Hey, coach, how do you convince guys that you're for real? It's pretty simple. I win. Google me. Like, you know what? That needed one more little, it needed one more little garnish on top. The best way to phrase that would have been if he would have dropped, it's real simple. I win. Google me. That's it. That's the only way that gets better, if he just outright calls the guy up to end the sentence. I win. Google me, you. Would have gone so hard in the paint. That's pretty spectacular. Lonzo, as of this moment in time, I officially, this show is a Kurt Signetti fan club now. We're all in with Kurt at this point.
Well, normally you don't speak for me, but I'm down with this.
Yeah, we all are.
Well, that's what this show
How do
does.
you sell your vision of your culture? I mean, what's the
Who are you talking about? The high school guys, the transfers? Who?
all of the above? I mean, how do you? Is there
It's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
See, I need to look this. This was this a visible press?
Oh yeah,
there's video.
Oh, he said it to the man's face.
No, because I want to see the look on his face while he's doing it.
Oh, he's got the this look.
Oh, he's been over the podium.
Oh yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. Google me, you. Like, it's so good. So good. All right. Let's get some more stuff in here.
Did the punk shut up and sit down?
I don't know, because the camera was on him, but it was pretty great. You know what else is pretty great? A new guy that I'm on board with alongside Kurt Signetti is Vanderbilt quarterback Diego Pavia. Vandy lost to Mizzou this weekend. Heartbreaking loss. Felt like Vandy for a minute there was going to go get a dub over a top 10 team. The Doors kind of feel a little different this year to me. Maybe it's just me. The Doors feel like they got a little oomph to them. And part of that, I think, is because of Diego Pavia. He was asked about that loss and how, if you are the Vanderbilt Commodores, how do you roll that loss into next week? He said this.
Kind of a brutal loss in Columbia. How eager are you to just get back out there on Saturday?
Yeah, the whole team is fired up to go out there on Saturday. Rando said it best, if you're down about this, then you ain't really, is what he said. Like get up and get back to it. And so that's what we did. Saturday we came out, we punched each other in the face all day Saturday or Sunday. And then, today was a great practice. So we'll be electric and ready to go.
If you're down about this,
then you ain't really.
That's incredible. That's beyond. I love that. If you are down about this, you ain't with the chest. With the chest. Incredible. I love that. Matt Moscona is a host on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He was talking about the Alabama-Georgia game. Now, as a dude who preseason picked Alabama not just to win the Southeastern Conference, but to ultimately appear in the Southeastern Conference championship game, I was very pleased with the outcome of Alabama versus Georgia, because I think it proved both of my takes correct. My take was, I think Georgia's coming back to earth this year, and my take was that I think Bama's about to shock y'all because they ain't done gone nowhere, all right? They ain't done gone nowhere. Well, while I was happy about the outcome, I was not thrilled about the fact that Georgia was down 28-0 at the half and still came back to make it a one-score game. Matt Moscona says, if you're up on Bama, Rob Brown, slow your roll and there's a reason for it.
Alabama fans are entering their Les Miles era. Winning
masks deficiencies
and losing magnifies.
Okay, yeah.
And that is what Kalen DeBoer was staring down until Ryan Williams saved his ass. And it hit me.
It's the worst bumping of ever, right?
Ton of bricks in the face. If Ryan Williams, now he did, But if Ryan Williams doesn't make one of the most incredible plays we've ever seen, what are we doing today?
Okay. So I got a couple responses today. Number one, he ain't wrong. He ain't wrong. We would be talking about the fact that the University of Alabama has replaced the Atlanta Falcons as the easiest and go-to illustration of choke in football history. If Alabama blows a 28-0 halftime lead, it would have shined so much brighter than Atlanta choking away a 28-3 halftime lead in a Super Bowl. But here's the thing. They didn't. They didn't do that. They won the game, right? And you can go, oh, it's only because Ryan Williams did something spectacular. Correct. Do you know why Ryan Williams is there? Kalen DeBoer. He's there because of Kalen DeBoer, right? That's a tool in the tool chest. How many football games are won by a spectacular play somewhere in the game? It just so happened to be that one was in the dying breath of the game. It just so happened to be that one was in the final few minutes of the game. If Ryan Williams does that in the first half and they win the game, what are you going to say then? Right? Like, yes. But I as much as Bama was up 28-0 and you would have liked to have them to give themselves to keep some breathing room in the game, I think it's important to remember that's still Georgia. That's still a real good football team. I don't think they're as good as they were last year or the year before that, but they're still a real good football team, and Bama finished the job. It wasn't pretty, but how many football wins are pretty football wins? Very few. All right, last one. Aaron Rodgers was on Pat McAfee's show yesterday. They said, yo, look around the league right now. Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, Derek Carr, all these guys having these resurgences at quarterback. And Aaron Rodgers said, doesn't surprise me all that much when you look at how development works.
It takes a while. You know, the development of the quarterback, you know, that's why you got to give so much credit to what Jaden's doing in Washington, because that's the outlier. I mean, that's the anomaly. Most of us, it takes a little time for us to figure it out, and especially with the way quarterbacks being coached in college, and they're not calling plays, they're not audibling, they're not huddling up, they're not taking a snap under center. The NFL is a different game. The NFL is playing under center, especially with the way defenses are playing now with all this two shell. You got to play under center. You got to run the football, and you got to have play action, as you guys said that stat about Jared Goff, and all the yards that came off of the action game. There's a learning curve. And that's why what Jaden's doing in Washington is an outlier, and he deserves a lot of credit, as does Cliff Kingsbury and Dan Quinn for obviously the environment he's created there. But most of us, you know, we take a little time to get into it. We need some time to learn the game, to grow, to not have overreactions about our play. Whoa. Think if Peyton Manning had been playing in 2024.
Of course, Peyton Manning famously went out there and threw more interceptions as a rookie than anybody else ever. And then it turned out pretty good. Pretty good. Point here is twofold. Number one, Rob Brown was right about Jaden Daniels. You're all welcome.
So far.
I mean, so far, it ain't a debate. The dude is the best rookie quarterback in football right now. I would argue he's the best quarterback who's been playing for 3 years or less in football right now. All that being said, I think that when people see a Jaden Daniels or a CJ Stroud, I'll put him in that group.
I was going to say, you just said he was better than CJ Stroud.
Oh, I think he is better than CJ Stroud. I think he is doing.
Slow it, mister. Slow it.
I think he is. But whether or not that is correct, what I am going to say is I think people see CJ Stroud and they see Jaden Daniels and they just assume that's what rookie quarterbacks should do. And here's Aaron Rodgers, a dude I'm not a fan of. Here's Aaron Rodgers echoing something that I have been saying to you all for as long as you've been listening to me. Quarterback development is a multi-year process. It's not a thing that just happens. Playing in the NFL at the quarterback thing is one of the hardest things in the world to do. And so the expectation guys are just going to show up and be good. The point here is, give Bryce Young some time. Please stop rushing guys to their NFL career deaths.
You went all that way just for that.
Please stop rushing rookie quarterbacks to their career deaths. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
It's going so well, then you had to do that.
Baseball wild card action on Tuesday. The Tigers beat the Astros 3-1 to go
Bam,
wild card round. The Royals shut out the Orioles 1-0.
BRB, everybody. Don't be concerned.
And the Padres beat the Braves 4-0. Game 2 across the league today. The Astros hosting the Tigers. It's Hunter Brown against Detroit's Tyler Holton. Zach Eflin starts for the Orioles.
That's a button I don't normally push, Steven.
Atlanta slugger Matt Olson.
I think when people don't think you can do something that drives you, and there's sometimes you hear some stuff, and that can absolutely drive you.
The Fan Upstate is your home for Paladins football and basketball. Follow all the action live right here. Search the Fan Upstate and listen anywhere on your phone.
Up to the minute, upstate traffic. The Cordell and Cordell crash cam shows a wreck northbound 85.
You should. Although it's a team effort, and we both failed on that. But I've been catching it all morning. I just missed it on that one. What can I say?
From the News Talk 98.9 WORD Traffic Center, I'm Bill Brooks on the Fan Upstate.
Order for Jennifer C. Is this my double shot, double cream, double froth, double pump, double hot, double whip, double sleeve? Yeah. Can you handle that much caffeine? Did you know Discover automatically doubles all the...
After close to a week with no electricity, it's getting to, I'm sure, all of us. Pretty excited, though. The power's working like a couple miles down the road from me, so... So a bunch of power lines just all slack, though. When I see those things taut, then I'll know I'm getting closer to being able to take a hot shower and actually sleep.
Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at Teddy.
If my power was on, I probably would go home, go to sleep, wake up, eat supper, go back to sleep, and sleep the entire night. And the cat has went into slow mode. She's just like, I am not moving.
Progressive presents Renters MVP's Most Valuable Possessions. Today's MVP, Emily Neal's 70-inch TV. Because after watching
I say all that, but I would at least turn my Xbox on. I may not make it more than 5 minutes, but I'd at least turn it on just for a little bit. Just make sure it still works, And I have the DLC to play on Starfield, and then mods just dropped on Baldur's Gate 3. Expansion happens on Diablo next week. Get to replenish the refrigerator like you just bought a brand new refrigerator. I know it's loud. It was meant to be.
The Rob Brown Show continues. It's the Fan Upstate. Got another bit of audio I want to play for you. Didn't put this one in the Blitz, though, because I think it's worthy of its own conversation as a whole. Ross Dellinger and Pat Forty were speaking about the SEC Big Ten meetings that are taking place. And I guess the reason I bring this up is because, stop it, I'm not ready for you, Ross. Relax, Ross. All right, calm down. I'll tell you.
It's okay. I'm getting blamed for every misstep.
That's
you're
on me.
doing. It's
on me.
It's yeah.
All right. So Ross and Pat 40, Ross Nellinger, Pat 40, Yahoo Sports. We're talking about the meetings taking place, and the backdrop of these meetings is very simple. The SEC and the Big Ten's athletic directors are meeting in Nashville, Tennessee this week, and what they are meeting over is a potential partnership. Although I don't want to call it a partnership because it's not like an official partnership, more coordination and cooperation between these two conferences. They are talking about two primary topics. One of them is scheduling cooperation between the two. That is to say, both regular season and creating their own system, potentially, of postseason bowl games that only they would be invited to. But a lot of it has to do with getting regular season games set up. And the thought process there, to me, although they're going to dress it up as, well, we think if we create this system of Big Ten versus SEC games, we will be providing America with the best football Saturdays possible. And for the record, they're not wrong. They're not wrong. But what it really comes down to is, if they start creating a world where SEC and Big Ten teams are playing each other, you know who they're not playing? The ACC, the Big 12, the Pac-2 / soon to be 4 / maybe 6. They're not playing the Mountain West. They're not playing the other conferences. And that means those other conferences are not playing as many nationally televised football games, which means that more of the money ends up with the SEC and the Big Ten. So Ross and Pat 40 were talking about it, and I pulled a short clip. It's about a minute long, out of about an 8-minute conversation they had, but I think it hits the meat and taters of the conversation.
The SEC, Big Ten, and ESPN control the future format. They have control over it, just like they had control over the revenue distribution, and people are probably wondering, why were they given all this control? Because they were threatening to leave and split off and do their own thing.
In February, this was some of the rhetoric that went along with the announcement of this advisory group. When back then, when alarm bells were going off because you know when you're getting conned, these challenges, the challenging landscape of college sports, these challenges, including but not limited to recent court decisions, pending litigation, a patchwork of state laws, and complex governance proposals, compel the two conferences to take a leadership role in developing solutions for a sustainable future of college sports. Here's what they see as the future of a sustainable college sports is them getting more and more and more of the power and more of the money and screw everybody else.
Yeah. Who's surprised? Show of hands. Who's surprised by this? Like I saw this story start making the rounds on social media. The Big Ten and the SEC are meeting, and they're in cahoots with each other. They're trying to figure out how it is that they can start doing more to get more. My fellow Americans, been this way for a minute, okay? And is Ross down? See, what's happened is over the past year, since the Florida State playoff debacle, when I said, guys, there is a reason that I am justifiably angry with, as much as I like him. I do. I like him as a TV guy, and I like him as a guy, Kirk Herbstreit. I like Kirk Herbstreit. I'm gonna go humble brag here. I've hung out with Kirk Herbstreit. He came down and did the keynote address for the All Sports Association, which was a philanthropic group that I was a big part of down in Destin, Fort Walton Beach, Pensacola, Florida. And Herbie came down and did a keynote address at a time where my role within that organization was public relations, talent relations, etc. They said basically anytime we're going to organize, somebody to come in here and give a speech or whatever, Rob Brown, you're the guy that does all the communications with their camp. When they show up in town, you're the one that makes sure that it gets advertised correctly, and you're the one that hangs out with that person until it's time for them to go on the podium and talk into a microphone. I've hung out with Kirk. He's a good person. He's a good guy. All the stuff you see about him and Ben, his dog, and them doing these, that's all legit. He's a good dude. But this is why I got upset at Kirk and the rest of the game day crew last year at the end of the year. And I said, Clemson fans, you should feel this way too. Because while I understand it's happening to a rival of yours, that just means it can happen to you. If you don't think we could end up in a situation where Clemson has a real good year in the ACC, but gets dumped out of a playoff spot in order to fit an SEC or a Big Ten now and or Big Ten team in that has like one more loss than you, that precedent is now established, right? And my whole take was when Kirk Herbstreit and the gang went from one day, yeah, Florida State's undefeated and winning the conference, they should absolutely get into, well, without their quarterbacks. No. The reason all of that went that way was very simple. Alabama was going to put more eyeballs on the TV set and was therefore we're going to make them more money. And now here is Ross Dellinger. And I will say about Ross Dellinger, who I'm a fan of as well. Dellinger's not a hot take machine. He's a pretty, honestly, pretty vanilla guy. Like he's good at getting the news. Listen to this man talk.
The SEC, Big Ten, and ESPN control the future format. They have control over it. The SEC,
stop. Okay, all right, Ross, we got it. Stop. Point is, he's a pretty vanilla guy. He's not really a hot take machine. He's just very good at getting information and organizing thought. And now here he is saying ESPN has power. ESPN has control. The SEC and the Big Ten have control. This is why I've said for a while, college football as you know it is cooked. And everybody wants to say, oh, it's NIL, it's transfer. No, it's not. No, it's not. It is because of the fact that unchecked capitalism by default leads to monopoly. Unchecked capitalism by default leads to a system where one or two entities have all of the power and the control. And so back in the day, when there was a point in time where the power should have been collected by and assembled by the NCAA, it was allowed to fall into the hands of the SEC and the Big Ten. And as Ross Dellinger pointed out, why? Because they threatened to leave. And the NCAA got scared. And we're like, okay, whatever you guys want. Whatever you want. That's why everything seems to break their way. Because they keep going, well, if you don't let us have our way, we're going to leave. And the NCAA goes, okay, we're gonna let you have your way. But just this once. Don't ask for anything else. I'm not alone in what I've been saying about this. Like I said, the reason I bring it up is not because these two dudes, Dellinger and 40, again, both of whom I like. They didn't say anything in this clip that I have not been saying to you people for years. For years, I've been saying this. We are going to end up in a world where there are two college footballs. There is the Big Ten and the Southeastern Conference over here, and then everybody else over there. There's going to be the SEC and the Big Ten and all their blue bloods that have this college football organization over here, and then everybody that's left out is going to be over here. All the Mountain West teams, all the FCS teams. There's going to be, one day, I firmly believe, a new NCAA for everybody who's not invited to the Big Ten or the Southeastern Conference's dance. This is why I have half-jokingly said that the 12-team playoff, as far as I am concerned, is the SEC Big Ten Invitational. Because in these meetings they're having, it's not just about coordinating regular season scheduling, which they absolutely are. It's not just about coordinating regular season scheduling so that they can begin removing national television appearances from everybody who's not in their Cool Kids Club. They're also putting together a plan to demand that the College Football Playoff Selection Committee give them 8 of the 12 at-large bids. 8 of them. 8, get 4 to the SEC, 4 to the Big Ten, guaranteed. The rest of the country as a whole, and this includes you, Clemson, the rest of the country as a whole will fight over the remaining 4. Now, we all believe they're going to 16 teams in 2026, right? We're all on board with that. That's definitely happening.
I don't know that for sure. I think they've got to see how effective this is. I think it would have to be a couple more years before they would do that.
So the current contract is in place through 2025. So you get effectively, if they don't decide to break it and go a different direction, 2 years of a 12-team playoff. I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, the 12-team playoff audiences for at least the semifinals and finals are going to be the most watched college football games of all time. Book that right now. You can write it down. Hold me to it today. It's going to go through the roof, and they're going to go, okay, we expand to 16. And then, while I still don't love that the Big Ten and the SEC would automatically get 8 of half of the field comes from 2 conferences, the other half is split between everybody else. I don't love it. But they're going to get it. And they're going to get it because, especially if they mandate regular season scheduling between the 2 conferences, that's less TV time and therefore less notoriety, less branding, less attention paid to other schools, which means when it's time to decide who goes in. And by the way, that's 4 guaranteed spots per conference. That doesn't mean only 4 teams per conference. They could both sneak a 5th in. We could, realistically, we could end up with a 12-team playoff that has 10 SEC Big Ten schools and 2 schools from other conferences down the line.
Well, if you look at the rankings right now, it's kind of that way already, isn't it?
I agree. But again, Ole Miss, Florida State's a good example too, but Ole Miss started off this year as a top 5 team. Is that a top 5 team? No. Why were they top 5? Why? Florida State makes sense as a top 10 team because
they were undefeated last year.
They were undefeated 13-0, and nobody thought they would have the drop that they had. Why was Ole Miss a top 5 team?
Coach?
SEC. That's it. That's it. There was nothing about them from last year to this year, with the exception of the addition of Juice Wells. There is nothing that goes, oh, now they're a top. No. SEC.
Yeah,
that's it.
The preseason polls, some of it is guessing, obviously.
Sure. I'm not saying that I didn't get a couple wrong too. Of course I did. We all did, right? The point that I'm making here is things like that inevitably show that the system, the game is skewed. If you're an SEC fan or a Big Ten team or a Big Ten fan, you don't give a damn about this. Nobody cares about the game being skewed when the game is skewed in their favor.
Yeah, it's this whole thing is like, I don't know what the big deal is.
You don't care because it benefits you. You know who should care about this? Every Clemson fan listening right now. Every Clemson fan listening right now should care about this. Everyone who's not a South Carolina fan listening right now, unless you're a Big Ten or an SEC fan. If you're an ACC fan right now, you should care about this. If you're a Pac-12 fan, if you're a Big 12 fan, or if you're a fan of literally anybody else.
Did you really say Pac-12?
I mean, that is still their name.
I mean, kind of, yeah. But
you're not the Big Ten, Lonzo. Your name's just as dumb as theirs is.
Oh, I agree.
Okay.
Look, I don't know what you're going to change it to, but they should have changed that like a decade ago.
Yeah. They've only been, at least with the Pac-12, it's like new. You guys have been the Big Ten. You've had at least 12 teams in your conference since I was a child.
Yeah, having more is kind of makes more sense than having less. It's easier to go back to the
No. You don't get to go, well, our number's dumb, but it's bigger, so that's better. No, it's both dumb names. The point here is
you do have the is your thing.
If you are not a fan of an SEC or a Big Ten school, you should care about this. Because if you're not, and you do not catch an invite to one of these 2 conferences in like the near future, you're going to be playing a second tier of football in an entirely different organization. The first tier of sports flashers is Lonzo.
That's the way to go, you. Stop it. You're overmodulating. It's so bad.
Or are you going to play the sound?
Well, I'm waiting till you get out of the way. Leave the room. The Atlanta Braves dropped game 1 in the wild card round series against the San Diego Padres last night, 4-0. Fernando Tatis opened the scoring for the Padres with a 2-round blast in the first inning, while Padres pitcher Michael King dominated Atlanta, throwing 7 scoreless innings, striking out 12 with no walks. Atlanta tries to take game 2 tonight at 8:30. Hopefully they do, because then Rob would be wrong. Across the rest of yesterday's playoff games, the Detroit Tigers defeated the Houston Astros 3-1. The New York Mets beat the Milwaukee Brewers 8-4. The Kansas City Royals blanked the Orioles 1-0. All 3 game 2s are this afternoon going into the night. That's how Rob wrote it. It's weird. Tune in this afternoon at 12:30 as the Furman Paladins take on the Citadel Bulldogs. It's Furman versus Citadel right here on your home for Paladins football. The Fan, Upstate.
Things are starting to bog down I-85 through the Pelham work zone with brake lights at 14 on the southbound side and 385 on the northbound side. From the News Talk 98.9 WORD.
I don't know, Joe. Penn State every once in a while is pretty good. Aren't they pretty good this year?
Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou. 800-353-9057.
Despite the last segment, I am not rah-rah conference guy, so I don't even know without looking.
Of course, Peyton Manning famously went out there.
And I also haven't slept more than 1 hour in a row in like a week. So, you know.
Call 800-353-9057. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life.
And old people need more rest.
Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-353-9057.
That's why Rob's really tired too, because old people need more rest.
You don't have to keep living with that joint pain. Real lasting relief is possible with the help from QC Kinetics. People here are getting their lives back, getting their mobility back, thanks to QC Kinetics.
That's true. No, I agree. I definitely agree with that. But but every once in a while they'll knock off Ohio State. They'll knock off Michigan. Usually in a whiteout game.
Edge treatments that require no surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. It's a quick office procedure that can get you moving again. These protocols have been developed by medical professionals and under the leadership of Dr.
I don't know if you read the email, but we were right about the thing. You know,
yeah.
It only makes sense, I guess.
You owe it to yourself to learn more. Call QC Kinetics today for a free consultation. They're at 864-448-3772. That's 864-448-3772 in Greenville and in Nashville. 864-448-3772. Get ready, golfers. It's the second.
See, the SEC has it smart because they never put numbers by it. So, I mean, they can have as many or as little teams as they want. Because didn't the Big Ten kind of change their name since they're even labeled the B1G?
The B1G.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's showing.
That's the logo now, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, so. Let's see. Indiana's 4-0, 5-0 overall. Michigan's lost 1 game. Ohio State's 4-0. Oregon's 4-0. Penn State's 4-0. Dadgum Rutgers is 4-0.
Rutgers. State College in New Jersey, baby.
Not only are they 4-0, they're 1-0 in conference. That is a lot of teams. Wow.
There's a lot of teams.
18 teams.
Every bite is better with Pepsi.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline Nasal Spray.
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle.
Good on
No, Penn State doesn't. Penn State rarely beats any of the or either of the top two. The Big Ten is a three school conference now with Oregon in it. And even Oregon's been not as good as I'd hoped they would be this year.
I should have cut that out. It was too late. Good on UCLA being the bottom of the Pac-12 to come over to be the bottom of the Big Ten. I mean, you know, they're below Minnesota and Maryland. Well, actually, they're all tied.
The Terps.
No, actually, no. UCLA is 1-3. Purdue is better than you, UCLA. At least record-wise. Northwestern is they're good every once in a while, though. Just don't know about that promo. Mad World, first break.
Mad World, first break. Here we go. Final hour of the Rob Brown Show starts now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Fan Upstate. Rob, the great one, Lonzo, with you. Be a part of the show, 844-326-3663. That's 844-FANFONE. That's the number.
Hey, Rob, if I said every once in a while, wouldn't you think, you know, every few years or so?
Yeah.
Just trying to clarify.
We were having a conversation during the break about the Big Ten, and the point that was made was by Joey B on the stream, which, by the way, you should watch every single day, all 4 hours, 6 till 10 a.m. We are live on our stream, which you can find by going to facebook.com/thefanupstate, the Fan Upstate on YouTube, or by searching and subscribing to the Rob Brown Show on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitch. We were talking about in the last segment the meetings taking place between athletic directors across the Big Ten and the Southeastern Conferences in Nashville, Tennessee this week. And I brought it up to make the point that none of you should be shocked by the fact that the Big Ten and the SEC are meeting together because their plan is to strong arm the rest of college football and the NCAA into doing what they want, how they want.
But this has never really been secretive. I mean, they pretty much have put it out there what they're going to do. I mean, so why is it a surprise?
I don't frankly think it should be one. That was exactly my point. Is I was watching the social media reaction as the stories about what was actually happening with these meetings began to circulate across the social media landscape. I was watching people have all these reactions like, "Oh, the SEC and the Big Ten, they're trying to power play everybody." And my response was, yeah, of course they are. This is why, if you will go back just a couple of years, when the transfer portal and name, image, and likeness started to make the rounds, there were a bunch of folks, and I am talking about both the commoners like us and the big national talking heads. People started to demonize the players themselves. People started to demonize, oh, they're ruining college football. And I rushed to the defense of the players and said, whoa. Let's hold our metaphorical, proverbial, and for some of you, Xavier Legette, literal horses here for just a minute. let's hang on just a hot second. Let's not put it on the players here, please and thank you. And let's not put it on the players here, because to me, there's a lot bigger problems with the college football changes over the years. There's a lot bigger problems out there than the players being able to make money on their own images and likenesses, and their ability to decide where they want to go, where they want to be. There are bigger problems. And those bigger problems, in my ever so humble yet frequently correct opinion, those bigger problems stem from the fact that the suits, the people in charge, the people that have the big offices up on top of their ivory towers, they want more and more and more and more. And this is why I've said, again, over and over and over, my dudes, my dudettes, life will be much easier for you if and when you get to the point, you come to the conclusion, you make the realization, you have the awakening, and you learn that they don't give a damn about you. They never have. It's very, very simple. They want to go get as much money as they can get, and there is literally nothing else. There is literally nothing else. The Big Ten and the SEC are not looking at wanting to organize and orchestrate some grand scheme where the scheduling betwixt the two lines up because they think we all want to see more SEC Big Ten games. Don't get me wrong. I do, for sure. At the end of the day, whatever it takes to organize it, we want to watch the best play the best. That's just the American way. This is why no matter how hard, how loud, how long the choruses have been year after year, college football is better than the NFL. Will I argue that it is more dramatic? Game by game, year by year, sure. Will I argue that it provides more pageantry, more pride, more tradition, et cetera, et cetera? Sure, I'll make that argument. I'm all good with that. But at the end of the day, whether you like it or whether you don't, at the end of the day, the NFL has better football, better players on better teams playing better ball. And that's why audience numbers reflect that all the time. All the time. The NFL Monday Night Football has been the most watched football or most watched television program in America for as long as I can remember. We want to play. We want to watch the best play the best. We, to some degree, whether we like it or not, we're complicit in this happening. All right. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm not part of the problem. It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. Because here's the thing. If you truly want college football because of the pageantry and the tradition and the pride and all that, you'd all be watching North Dakota State and South Dakota State. You'd all be down at Paladin Stadium every Saturday watching football. You'd all be watching FCS ball. Because I promise you, you want to say that you love college football because you love the players that have love of the game? Then watch FCS ball. The overwhelming majority of those cats, they ain't going pro, and they know it. They know they've got whatever time that they've got playing lower level college football and not much else. You want to watch guys who are playing because they love the game? Watch lower level college football. But see, I don't believe that's the case. We want to watch the best football that we can put our eyeballs on. And so if the Big Ten and the Southeastern Conference, who, again, I do not think, especially with the ACC this year, for God's sakes, I don't think it can be argued that those are the best two conferences in college football right now. That's just a statement of fact. Even if the Big Ten is top heavy, and it is, there's 3 teams in that conference. Actually, I take that back. Michigan ain't that good this year. There's 2 teams in that conference. It's Ohio State, and it's Oregon. Now, the conversation we were talking about on the stream just a minute ago was because I said, and we were talking about, the Big Ten is going to make the argument that they should get 4 automatic bids to the playoffs. Joey B popped in and said there's no chance the 4th best team in the Big Ten is consistently good enough to deserve a playoff spot. Last year, even either of the new teams, that would have been 10-3 Penn State. And let's face it, the only way Penn State would ever make a playoff is if they expend the net wide enough for them to fall into. They're always pretty good playing a soft schedule until they play a good team, and James Franklin the bed and they get embarrassed. Happens every year.
All right, in years past, maybe not this year, but in years past, who was the 4th best team in the SEC?
Take your pick. Tennessee.
How's that any different than?
It's not. Let me be real clear.
All right.
It's absolutely not. All right. I am absolutely arguing that very rarely do either of these two conferences have a 4th team. I'm not saying never, but rarely do either of these conferences have a 4th team that you go, they should definitely get in. They should auto get in. The argument that I'm making here is, while I understand that he who has the gold, you want to know what the real golden rule in life is? He who has the gold makes the rules. That's the real golden rule. All right. They're going to teach you youngsters growing up out there. The golden rule is treat others as you wish to be treated. No, the real golden rule is he who has the gold makes the rules.
Do unto others. Well, you basically said the same thing.
No, do unto others is something that anybody can do. He who has the gold makes the rules is something very few people can do. But very few people got the gold to be able to make the rules. In this world, in this landscape, it's the Big Ten and the SEC. Here's the thing. If it was only about football, and there's too many of you guys out there that still talk about all of this as if the mindset is football. It's not. It's money. All right? It's money. If it was only about football, are Florida State and Clemson beating the doors down at every attorney within a 1,000-mile radius trying to find the one that can get them the hell out of the ACC? No. If it was only about football, if everything else was equal and it was only about football, they'd want to stay in the ACC, right? It's an easier path to the playoffs every year. Just win a bad conference and you're in. And very frequently, if it's just the two of you, you're going to end up more often than not with a 13-0 champ and a 12-1 runner-up, and you're both going. But it's not. It's about the gold. They both want into either the Big Ten or the SEC so they can have some of it. And this is why I've said it's ugly. I don't like it. And it is also inevitable. There's going to be 2 different college footballs. There's going to be college football over here that is the Big Ten and the SEC, and whoever the hell they decide is worthy of an invitation. And then there's going to be college football over there, and it's going to be the new FCS. It's going to be everybody else. That's where your Boise States are going to be.
Does that change viewership, though?
Yes.
No, not
yes.
really. Because people want to watch the best.
I don't disagree. Here's the thing. The people that are Boise State fans, they're still going to watch Boise State, right? They're also watching Georgia-Bama. You know, I know Georgia and Alabama had a game that averaged over 12 million viewers on Saturday night. We want to watch the best play the best, okay? So what's going to happen is those schools in the everybody else league, which, by the way, I probably should change the name from the EEC, the everybody else conference, to the everybody else league at this point. And it may be 10 years from now, maybe 15 years from now, maybe 5 years from now. But what's going to end up happening is the SEC and the Big Ten are going to end up, even if they don't officially abandon the NCAA, they're going to end up in a world where they are so big that they're just going to play themselves and each other pretty much week in, week out. Pretty much week in, week out. And then everybody else is going to have to go like somewhere else to do their own thing. Everybody else is going to have to go somewhere else to play. The Mountain West and the SEC and the Big 12 and the ACC, they're all going to have to lean on each other just for survival. Because do you think ESPN is going to go, all right, Saturday, we can pick from one of these 9 SEC versus Big 10 games, or we can put on Boise State versus Washington? Here's the thing, and this is why I've said we're complicit too. You know which one of those games you're watching. I know which one of those games I'm watching. They're right. They're right. The eyeballs are going to the SEC Big 10 school. Big 10 game, pardon me. It doesn't make it suck less. This is why, to go back to what I've been saying, this is why I have said for a while now, I am not going to sit idly by and allow people to accuse college football players of destroying college football. Everything that you know and love about college football traditionally is on the altar to be sacrificed by the Big Ten and the SEC so that they can get more money and more power. That's it. The meetings they're having in Nashville right now are solely, how do we get more money? How do we get more power? We don't give a damn about anybody else. And yes, I fully believe that ESPN is complicit in this. This is why I got mad about it last year. When all you guys said, oh, Rob, get over it. You're just salty. You're a Florida guy, upset that a team that you used to cover is No. It just happened to be Florida State. I would have been just as upset if it was Florida, a school I actively dislike. If it was Miami, a school that I have openly told you I am hostile against. I would have been just as upset if it was those schools, because those schools are the representation of the EEC. And if ESPN is willing to tilt the table in favor of the SEC and the Big Ten, how can they survive? How can they win? I don't think they can. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, let's get away from that and go into something less buzzkilly. Rob Alonso and you, the Rob Brown Show's on the radio. It's the Fan Upstate.
Power up.
All right, guys, one more live when we're back. Stay right there for me, please, and thank you. It's Rob Brown. I hope you're enjoying the show. If you're not, I don't know why you're here, but I am glad that you are. Hey, do us a favor. Whether you're enjoying it or not, would you mind sharing us around your social media, please? And thank you, Twitter, X, whatever you call it. I don't care. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, it doesn't matter to me. Help us get the good word out. We're trying to get famous and rich, and we can't do it without your help. So, The Rob Brown Show is on all social media, or share the YouTube channel, the Facebook page, wherever you're watching this, and we'd appreciate it very much. Now, let's get back to the show. Stick around. What is up, friends? It's Rob Brown. I hope you're enjoying the show. If you're not, I don't know why you're here, but I am glad that you are. Hey, do us a favor. Whether you're enjoying it or not, would you mind sharing us around your social media, please? And thank you, Twitter, X, whatever you call it. I don't care. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, it doesn't matter to me. Help us get the good word out. We're trying to get famous and rich, and we can't do it without your help. So, The Rob Brown Show is on all social media, or share the YouTube channel, the Facebook page, wherever you're watching this, and we'd appreciate it very much. Now, let's get back to the show. Stick around. What is up, friends? It's Rob Brown. I hope you're enjoying the show. If you're not, I don't know why you're here, but I am glad.
Smack myself in the face, and I realize I have a ring on both fingers and on both hands.
Turn it on and leave it on. Afternoons 3 to 7 on the fan upstate.
The Rob Brown Show continues. It's the fan upstate. Rob and Lonzo with you. So we talked a little bit earlier, and I'm actually gonna run it again for you. Aaron Rodgers had some comments that he made about the about quarterback development in the National Football League. He was on the Pat McAfee show yesterday, and he said this:
It takes a while. You know, the development of the quarterback. You know, that's why you got to give so much credit to what Jaden's doing in Washington, because that's the outlier. I mean, that's the anomaly. Most of us, it takes a little time for us to figure it out, and especially with the way quarterbacks being coached in college, and they're not calling plays, they're not audibling, they're not huddling up, they're not taking a snap under center. The NFL is a different game. The NFL is playing under center, especially with the way defenses are playing now with all this two shell. You got to play under center. You got to run the football, and you got to have play action. As you guys said, that stat about Jared Goff, and all the yards that came off of the action game. There's a learning curve, and that's why what Jaden's doing in Washington is an outlier, and he deserves a lot of credit, as does Cliff Kingsbury and Dan Quinn for obviously the environment he's created there. But most of us, you know, we take a little time to get into it. We need some time to learn the game, to grow, to not have overreactions about our play.
Whoa.
Think if Peyton Manning had been playing in 2024.
So Aaron Rodgers says, look, here's the deal. It takes quarterbacks longer to develop. And he blames it partially on, and I think he's correct, the fact that playing quarterback at the NFL is different than playing quarterback in college. It just by default is. There is more to know. There is more to see. There is more to work around. It's a different style. He points out the fact that, you know, at the NFL level, you're taking a lot more. I mean, think about how many times, in fact, this Saturday, I want you to look for it. Watch how many snaps under center any quarterback takes. Very few anymore, right? Like very few. In the NFL, a lot of them are, right? I mean, it's definitely more spread than it's used to be. But at the NFL level, a lot more snaps are taken under center. That's a very small thing, but at the same time, right now, go down to Bill in accounting, hand him a football, tell him turn around, bend over, and try to take a snap. All right? Make sure he knows you're talking about a football. Bend and snap. Legally Blonde. Great movie. Great movie. The point here is Aaron Rodgers is a person that I don't agree on very much with Aaron Rodgers, but he and I are lockstep on this one. And we've had this conversation before. I truly, honestly, genuinely, and entirely think that we are treating rookie quarterbacks around the league very poorly. I think the illustration of that this year, more than anything else, is Caleb Williams. Number 1 overall draft pick from the Chicago Bears. He is the end result of the trade that Carolina made with Chicago that allowed them to have the pick to get Caleb Williams and sent Bryce Young to the Panthers. When you look at Caleb Williams, when he got drafted, that guy was named QB1 before he ever put on a blue uniform, right? Not a practice, not a scrimmage, not a camp day, nothing. That man was labeled QB1 before he tasted Chicago pizza. But it wasn't just that he was labeled QB1. He was labeled the Windy City Savior before he put on a helmet. The Bears fans were just convinced we're saved. This is the guy. This is the dude. We are saved. I got to tell you, handling that much pressure is not something many people are accustomed to or, frankly, good at. That's a lot to put on a kid. And while Caleb Williams in the last couple of, really the last game, he's had one game so far that he looked good. I think you could see that early in the season out of Caleb Williams. He looked overwhelmed. He looked exhausted. He looked like he looked like the pressure had gotten to him. You know what he looked like? He looked like the young rookie quarterback version of what Aaron Rodgers looked like in his post-game press conference after the loss this weekend to the Broncos. Lonzo and I were watching the TV Monday morning during the show, and Aaron Rodgers, there was a clip from his post-game presser, and Lonzo looks at me and he goes, he looks old. Not like football old, not like beat up. I just played a football game on, just regular old. You know that moment when you're growing up where I don't know if it happened to you, it happened to me. You know that moment when you're growing up when you look at your dad and you see him as like a regular guy now? Or you look at your mom and you see her as a regular woman now, right? They're not that superhero anymore. Like you see the age, you see the grays setting in, you see the bags under the eyes, you see the wrinkles, the crow's feet starting to form, and you go, oh, they're not an immortal super being like I saw.
In my case, my mom's 5'2". So eventually I'm looking down instead of looking up that. Yeah.
That's what we got with Aaron Rodgers.
See, it reminds me more of, you see the pictures of when someone is elected president and then they show them like 2 years later.
Yeah.
Because of all the weight of, running the country.
I think that might even be more apt than the parent one, right? I think that actually might be more apt than the parent one. When you levy that much responsibility onto the shoulders of a person, it's going to age them. Especially if they have some sort of feeling of responsibility. If it matters to them that they do the job in a way that benefits the most people, right? As opposed to just, I'm in this job because I wanted it. If you are talking about someone who genuinely feels the pressure not to succeed for them, but to succeed for all the people around and under them,
I think it's more of someone who comes in kind of young and then they look old, not someone who comes in.
I don't disagree, but
old.
what I'm saying is old, young, whatever. If someone is elected into a position of responsibility that their success or failure immediately elevates or deprecates the lives of the people that put them into that position, and they care about that. And I do think quarterbacks care about that, at least most of them. Just like I think, I don't want to say most, I'll say most. I think most politicians do care about making the lives of their constituents better. Not all, but many do. And I think you can tell the ones that do. So if a guy like Caleb Williams gets thrown into Chicago and the people of Chicago immediately start proclaiming him the Windy City Savior, that pressure is just, it's deflating, right? It falls down on them. And so when you take a guy like a Caleb Williams or a Bryce Young, and you put that much responsibility on them, and oh, by the way, almost exclusively, these guys end up on absolutely booty cheeks teams, just bad teams. And you put them on a bad team, and very frequently, not exclusively, but very frequently, you put them on bad teams with coaches who are fighting for their lives. Matt Eberflus came into this season fighting for his life. Frank Reich last year went into that season in Carolina fighting for his reputation. And this is why I've said in years gone by, for a lot of these coaches, they don't care about the development of the quarterback. They care about winning games and, frankly, not much else. And again, I think to some degree that makes sense. But they care about winning games because they care about their job, their reputation. And if you care more about winning games than developing a quarterback, you're not going to develop that quarterback because you're not dialed in on that. And that has to be something that you have to focus on. This is why I've said, Dan Morgan and Dave Canales know if Bryce Young's not their guy. If they've already made the decision that they're out on him, send him somewhere. Send him to Miami. Let him go see if he can learn fast enough to replace Tua. Because what they got right now in TJ Huntley ain't it. But if you're not going to do that, then please recognize that developing a rookie quarterback is going to take a lot of time. That's why guys like Sam Darnold and Derek Carr and all these guys that are having rejuvenated years this year, that's why. Because some of them it's going to take 6-7 years. But when they do, they do. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Best of 3 wild card. The Padres shut off the Braves 4-0. Game 2's today. Road game for the Panthers this week at Chicago. Carolina's 1-3. Shaq Thompson out for the season. Has been placed on the injured reserve. Chandler Wooten added to the active roster. The Panthers signed former first-round pick Caleb Farley to the practice squad. It's a road game for number 15 Clemson football this Saturday. A matchup in Tallahassee, Florida, against the Florida State Seminole. The Tigers looking to extend
just the one Seminole
streak. They're 3-1.
Well, yeah. I mean, you know.
Conference play.
Not even a specific one. It was just a random one. They
just
pointed
one
and said
Seminole.
that guy.
That Seminole.
South Carolina's 3-1, 1-1 in the SEC. Ole Miss 0-1 in conference play, but 4-1 overall. Bundle auto and
Bow.
the Odyssey app. Search the Fan Upstate and listen anywhere on your phone.
That's
the Sports Flash on the Fan Upstate.
In business, success is never by chance. You know that better than anyone. So why settle for a marketing agency that gambles with your money? At Scale Marketing, we've been in your shoes.
Our founders successfully owned and operated businesses long before becoming marketers. They understand the business of, well, business. We specialize in performance marketing for mid-sized B2C companies with teams of over 100 people, from traditional and digital marketing to media buying, data science, and creative production. Scale Marketing manages it all. Our tailored strategies drive measurable growth, turning your challenges into opportunities. Imagine your company leading the market, not just participating in it. That's what we do at Scale Marketing. Don't let your business growth plateau or underperform. Scale Marketing will pinpoint exactly what you need to focus on, ensuring your success isn't left to chance. Take your business to the next level with Scale Marketing. Visit scalemarketing.com today. That's scalemarketing.com.
What if I told you that there was a single management?
Thank you, Steven. Appreciate you, big dog.
CRM, accounting, manufacturing, marketing, inventory, sales, and everything in between for a fraction of the cost of the dozens of disconnected platforms most companies rely on to manage their business. Sounds pretty good, right? Well, that's Odoo. Odoo is the end-all, be-all for any business of any size, and it's ready to help your company reach the next level and beyond. Learn more at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
From the Ingalls Market Studio, the
Upstate, 97.7 FM, 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
live from the Free Odyssey app. Now, the Infinity Sports Network. Your guide to the gridiron, the maestro of the matchups, and the keeper of all things cool in the This is the
All right, I'm just going to respond to a bunch of texts and tweets and emails we've gotten so far this morning here because I want to. James said the national host will blame Chicago's coaches for 18 months for not giving Caleb help. James, they'd be right. And now let me clarify this. I said coming into the season, I think Caleb Williams has come into the best situation regarding the roster around him of any quarterback in recent memory. I think he came into a better roster than C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson, Bryce Young, Will Levis, Jaden Daniels. I think he came into the best roster situation of any of these guys. I also think he came into probably the second or third worst coaching situation of any of these guys as well. Eberflus was already hot-seated coming into this year. He was hot-seated because of the reason the Bears were in the position to draft this guy. Because they had again, they weren't going to have the number 1 overall pick. That was going to be Carolina, but they were bad enough in his tenure to have high enough draft picks that they could send to Carolina to justify Carolina sending them over the number 1 pick for this year in return for the number 1 pick last year. He was already on the hot seat. And so this is why I have been saying for a hot minute now that if you're looking at the Chicago Bears and you suddenly expected that one player was going to overcome the everything else that has been bad in Chicago for a couple of years, if it did not include either a coaching change or B, at the very least, a massive coaching philosophy change, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. So Chicago can say one thing that Carolina cannot say. At least they set up Caleb Williams with talented players around him to give him the best chance to succeed. But the other thing Chicago can say, must say, in my opinion, is you brought him into a crap coaching situation with a coach that nobody knew if he barely survived last year. And it took a pretty, I'll give the credit where the credit's due. It took a pretty spectacular back half of the season from Justin Fields last year to save Matt Eberflus's job for this year and give him a chance to coach up Caleb Williams.
Wow, you just said something positive about.
I'll say a lot of positive about Justin Fields. I just think it's going to take some time. That's all. And I don't think that's disrespectful to the young former Buckeye at all. To say everything was so bad in Chicago that I think it will take time. And I could be wrong. I said that as well. Could be wrong. And he did look better last weekend, Justin Fields.
They're 3-1, I think. So, I mean.
They are. Again, they also were a plus 500 team last year. Who was the Steelers quarterback last year? Exactly. So.
Pickett? No.
Baby Hands.
Yeah.
Well, was one of them.
Yeah, they had like a couple.
By the way, did you see the Mason Rudolph story? Mason Rudolph is the backup quarterback for Tennessee. So Will Levis got. I'm gonna quick segue, and then I'm gonna go to another text we got just a minute ago. Mason Rudolph is the backup quarterback in Tennessee. Mason Rudolph got called into action this weekend because Will Levis went down with a shoulder injury early in the game. There was a guy that was at the game, a Tennessee fan from Nash Vegas, and he made a video at the game, and he said, y'all, I was talking, his girlfriend was with him at the game, and he's like, y'all, I was talking with my girlfriend, and when they announced that, and I saw a write-up of the story after it happened, so I may not have all the details 100% correct, but it's pretty close. There was a guy at the game, and when they announced that Mason Rudolph was entering the game, my girlfriend kind of like went wide-eyed for a second. And she's like, did they just say Mason Rudolph? And the guy said, yeah, why? And she pulls out her phone and opens up, I believe, Instagram. And she goes, he slid into my DMs today. And she pulled up the messages, allegedly, from Mason Rudolph's verified account, where he was just like throwing game at this guy's girlfriend on game day in a game that he got pulled up in. She's like, I didn't know who it was, so I was just ignoring him. I didn't interact with him. I didn't reach out to him. He just saw my picture because I guess she had on Titans gear or something. Saw my picture and slid into my DMs asking me out. And the dude's like, yeah, well, he just killed my 3-leg parlay, so don't talk to him anymore. I was like, that's probably not the reason for her not to talk to him, but like, I respect the hustle. I respect the grind. Anyway, love that Mason Rudolph is dropping the who wants to sex Rudolph on this lady.
I don't know if he
doesn't work like Mutombo, does it?
I don't know. Have you seen him? I mean,
I am going to go ahead and say that Mason Rudolph isn't carrying the charisma around with him that lets him walk into the nightclub and drop a who wants to sex Mutombo on the ladies.
You know he's from here, right?
I mean, no, I didn't. I also don't care.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it just adds a little something to it. He's from Rock Hill. So, I mean,
I'm just saying, I don't think.
So he's got some South Carolina moves to him.
I mean, great. I don't think he's got who wants to sex Rudolph vibes. That's all I'm saying.
Well, by the way, saying that just sounds totally wrong. It just, I mean.
Who wants to sex Rudolph?
He said I'm cute.
Oh, I did it last night, by the way.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. You did the thing.
I want you to know.
I don't want to know
Correct.
if you did
Correct.
something else.
Yeah,
right?
no, I said who wants to sex Rob Brown. She didn't. Okay. She walked in the door and I was back in the bedroom because that's where the generator plug is set up right now. And I came out of the bedroom and I looked and I went, who wants to sex Rob Brown? And she was halfway in the door. She looks down the hallway at me and she goes, ugh, and just closes the door with her outside of it. She went back outside. She came halfway in. I said, who wants to sex Rob Brown? And she went, ugh, and closed the door. I don't know what she did outside. She didn't come in for like 5 more minutes. I don't know what she went out there to do.
Maybe she was laughing.
No, I don't think so. But
because it was a funny joke, not anything else.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No.
I mean,
No, she came back in and told me not to talk to her, which is fair. She opened the door and she didn't get a, hey, babe, I missed you. I hope you had a good day. I hope work was good. I hope you got a promotion. I hope your boss was nice. I bought you some flowers. I cleaned the kitchen. She got none of that. She opened the door after a 9-hour day at work, which, by the way, I'm not going to reveal where she is, but suffice to say, she's a necessary employee at a place that's very important to the recovery efforts of the upstate of South Carolina. So her job was not like ours, where, yeah, we got some stuff to do, but we also have got 4.5 hours where we just sit around and goof off and have a good time, right? She has a real job, a stressful job, a job where if she screws up, it makes life harder for a lot of other people. She had a 9-hour day of that kind of day, came home, opened the door to her home, to her husband of 11 days, who greeted her after her second day of 9-hour days at a mandatory real job with the words, "Who wants 2 sex Rob Brown?" So she closed the door, went back outside, came in about 5 minutes later, and said nothing to me. Not a word.
Someone told her. I mean, you said it 1,000 times yesterday. She knew it was that you were going to do that. And maybe back in her mind, she believed, nah, he's not. That's just he's not really going to do that. And then you did it.
Oh, I did it.
You seem pretty proud about it too. But
I told you the victory was not going to be whether or not we ended up doing the old unskinny bop, 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 bop. The victory was just having that moment. Okay. The victory was just having that moment. And I had that moment. And I got to tell you, I'm not going to say it was as good as the old Oingo Boingo. I'm just going to say it's pretty close. It's pretty close.
Well, I mean, you were a good distance before you did it too, which is probably a smart move.
Oh, I was on the other side of the house. Other side of the house.
I mean, you might have got hit.
James says, "Who wants to sex Jimbo?" has a success rate of 0%. I can now tell you Who Wants to Sex Rob Brown has a success rate of 0%. I am batting 0. All right.
So
just 0.
You going to give it another shot today? I mean,
Not today. I will give it a few days.
Okay.
I will give it a few days. And in memory of Dikembe freaking Mutombo.
No, not today.
I will try again next week. The only way that whole thing gets better is if she looked at me and said,
No, not today.
Which she did, but she didn't say it like Dikembe Mutombo. She just said it like herself, which is fair. Again, 9-hour, very stressful job with other people's well-being depending on her success or failure. And she got greeted by her husband of 11 days with, "Who wants to sex Rob Brown?"
See, that's the thing. You were trying to relieve the stress that you had throughout the day by being funny. Yeah.
I thought it was hilarious. Texas said, "Rob, I can fix college football right now. Divide all teams into 4 leagues. First to fourth, top 50% of each league makes the playoffs for the league. League champ and second place move up to the next league. Last and second to last are relegated to lower leagues." Listen, I love the idea. I'm a big promotion and relegation guy. The soccer world has been doing it for 1,000 years, and they keep doing it because it keeps on working. But here is the thing.
It's America,
the
man.
thing
You don't do that in
is,
America. Come
you
on.
do absolutely. It freaking works, and we don't do that because America is a real dumb argument for not doing something.
Says you.
But no, okay. Now, put that aside for a minute and why Lonzo's wrong. Let's talk about it this way. They're not going to get on board with that. Do you know why? Because if you get relegated, you make less money. That's it.
Which
If
means I'm
you
right.
get relegated, you make less money. So a school that is already in the dance and is already benefiting from being in the dance is not going to say, yeah, I will risk accepting less money so that Rob and his listening audience, the Armada, like football more. It's not gonna happen. Texter said, "Rob, that was a TikTok of a girl and a guy in a Dolphins jersey, but she is a well-known betting pundit. It was wagertainment." Oh, I got. All right. Well, I was wagertained.
No way. You got.
Cornchip texted the show and said, "My wife will catch an assault charge if I pull that with her. I'd get my ass whooped." Cornchip, you're telling me if Mrs. Cornchip walks in the house and you hit her with a "Who wants to sex Cornchip?" That it's not going to work?
Yeah,
Come
that
on, man.
also does not sound right at all. It sounds kind of.
Come on, man.
Sounds kind of weird.
And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter.
Maybe use your real name when you do it. Unless your real name.
Not today.
I was gonna say unless your real name actually is Corn Chip, but I'm pretty sure it's not. The first thing that's Xing is it's hard. Today was difficult because you know what's trending all over the place, and I'm gonna try to stay away from that. First thing that's Xing is CM Punk.
CM Punk was the special guest referee in a championship match on NXT, where former South Carolina Gamecock Trick Willie Style is your new NXT heavyweight champion.
2-time.
And then he bought pizza for everybody in the arena, which I thought was very nice of
Yeah,
him.
yeah. I mean, I guess it kind of works. I mean, he bought ice cream last, but he only does it in Chicago. They're in
Yeah, for
Chicago.
sure.
I mean, buying food for your hometown.
It's a dope move.
Also-
and buying them
also,
their
did you
food.
see the shorts?
I did see the shorts.
Yeah,
More
that's-
importantly, I saw him steal HBK's hat.
Yeah.
And more importantly than that, I saw HBK without a hat.
Yeah, you don't. It's not. He's
Sean, big.
No.
Just let it go.
No.
Like Elsa. Let it go. Let it go.
No,
Don't
there's-
hold it back anymore.
Listen, I mean, you can spray something up there, or I mean, go like to Bosley or something. I mean, you can afford it. You're
Let
making
it
some
go.
money in NXT.
Let it go.
You know what? Weaves. Everybody there's doing weaves. If Sean puts a weave in his hair, I'm okay with it.
Let it go. Let it go. You got no hair no more.
All right. The
Jim
next.
said HBK losing all his hair is a horrible reminder of our own mortality.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Weave that stuff.
Yeah, I saw it and I was like, oh no.
Yeah, yeah. And for a while there, he was doing it and still had the ponytail, and it was very much the wise man vibes on him. And
There's only
just-
one person with worse hair than him in wrestling, brother.
Yes. All right. The next thing it's Xing is sticking with wrestling because I just have to. Halloween Havoc.
Is that this weekend?
No.
Okay, good. So I got a week to figure my life out.
It's on the 27th, but the
Okay.
reason why it's Xing is because someone made her return last night, and it's causing a wonderful triple threat.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Saw that.
Core Jade returned
Yeah.
last night. I haven't seen any. I've just seen clips because no electricity. So
Correct.
I mean, looking forward to be able to watch wrestling. But
You know, disappointment yesterday.
but it was on the CW, and it was their debut on the CW, which is a pretty big deal, and went really well apparently.
The disappointment yesterday, because the whole drive home, I said, you know what I'm going to do when I get home? I'm going to go home. I'm going to air fry up some chicken tendies, and I'm going to watch some pro wrestling and get all caught up. And then I got home and remembered, you ain't doing none of that.
Yep.
You ain't doing not a one of those things.
Why you should hang around here, and I can watch when you're watching. All right, the next thing that's Xing is Iran.
Iran so far away, and Iran. No, I shouldn't be making jokes about this. Iran fired like 100
I
missiles,
think it was like
rockets.
I think it was like 200, but it was
a lot of rockets.
It was a whole lot
into Israel yesterday, and of course, it's a lot of people the last couple of years they've been like, oh, we're on the verge of World War III. I'm like, yeah, relax, calm down a little bit. Like, yeah, it's bad. It's not exactly ideal, but like we're not there yet. When a global superpower that is either at or very near nuclear capability is launching rockets, barrages, whether or not you agree with Israel, when you have one country shooting hundreds of rockets into another country, there's not a lot you can do to walk away from that. Yesterday was probably the first time in a minute I'm like, so we're just going to blow up the world. Cool. All right, got it. Just do me a favor. Wait until after the Super Bowl. Can we have one more Super Bowl before we burn it all to the ground?
3-peat, baby. I'd
like to see if the Chiefs can make history before we light the world on fire, please and thank you.
All right, just because I want to. The last thing that's Xing is Don Rickles.
Why is Don Rickles one of my favorite comedians of all time? Why is Don Rickles trending?
The faces that one of the participants in the
okay
in the debate last night.
Very fair.
are making,
Very fair.
And I didn't see it till I saw it was trending. I was like, oh yeah, there it is,
Very
right
fair.
there.
Listen, it's just like every other debate in the history of every debate. Your guy won and the other guy lost.
Of course.
Just your guy won, the other guy lost. I am going to say this. Yes, he had some Don Rickles faces. I am also going to say JD Vance had some Jim Halpert third wall breaking cameras moments. That had me rolling.
Yeah.
Had me absolutely rolling. Hey, that's it for us. Appreciate you guys being here. Hope that you enjoyed the show. Hope you'll come back tomorrow when we do it all over again, but better. I'm Rob. No, you got to wait till August next year before we blow up the world. I want to get that three-peat of the SCBA sports broadcast of the year. You get it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's go.
Goodbye.
Let me tell you what they done. They done kicked your ass, son. Woo!
Holy crap, he really did have Don Rickles' face. That's really funny.
I mean, of course, they're catching stills of it and putting next to it. It's like, oh.
Mm-hmm. All right, I actually do have to leave because I have a meeting at 11:30. And I said, you know why I said yes to the meeting? It's inside at a place with power.
There you go.
Yeah.
Let's hope so, Steven.
Not for me.
No, we're hoping that
Oh,
everyone
no,
has
I'm telling
power.
you, it will not be in my house. There are 2 days of work to get the trees off the power lines in my neighborhood. I will not have power till this weekend.
That would be weird if I got power before you.
How many trees do you have down on power lines? All of ours. All of them.
Lawrence is a disaster area
Yeah.
more so. I mean, and all these other counties get mentioned, but they don't mention Lawrence, and Lawrence is bad. I mean, when you look at the outages, like if you go to the Duke thing, there's like 10,000 in
Yeah.
Lawrence and like half that in other places. But again, 2 miles down the road, they got power. So I could sleep tonight. It could happen.
I got the power.
I live in the woods. I go sleep outside, but you know.
All right, we're out of here. Thanks for being here. You're all amazing. I appreciate it. I wish you the best of luck with your power. I don't have it. Bye.